incredible way to start us off.
You guys are in for a treat.
Salty is absolutely on a tear.
That is a huge shift of momentum. Oh my goodness. Gonna toss it right back.
Dive again, beautiful from Chime. But now is when things get hairy.
No more break, it's time for action. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders.
We got a good match coming up, and y'all should be thankful that it's that much, because it is the last chance to get your hands on that Contenders Genji skin running through the end of the day, or the end of the broadcast. Eric, ain't got much left.
Hey, thank God we got this matchup, man, because this could actually give just enough time for everybody to solidify that skin. That's a good one to get. That one looks fantastic. Did a little bit of the VO on that one, Dor, I have to say.
You did.
I did a fantastic
quite
job,
a job,
but
yeah.
I did fantastically. I think it was one of the VOs of all time.
I think you're a star here, Eric. That's what you are. Yeah,
thank you. I appreciate it, but we got a fair few stars left in the mix here for this game here as well. I mean, obviously we did just see one of the teams performing in our losers final to make it up here. Saints versus Timeless. This is a matchup that I have been waiting on ever since we saw. I mean, it's only been 24 hours, but this is one I've been waiting for anxiously ever since that one. This is a big rematch, an opportunity for Saints to go ahead and get redemption, or perhaps for Timeless to finally do the thing that they have been wanting to do for so long.
Yeah, and when all the dust settles for all the Any Given Sunday, Timeless is the lowest seed team that we have left, which is not saying much. They finished decently high up themselves. In fact, where they've always found themselves, around that 4th through 2nd seed area.
Yeah.
They want a first place finish, and you know what? This is the opportunity. For me, this is kind of the leaders of that group stage going up against the leaders of the bracket, and you can see how it shook down here. Timeless firmly in 4th, playing bouncer to the top 3, as they seemingly always have, are finally getting their chance at the crown.
Yeah, on top of that, you had the 3rd place finish that we saw and Run It Back, the 4th place finish, and the Pro-Am qualifiers just not really hitting that stride that really many of the Contenders teams were able to do in the actual Pro-Ams themselves. But Timeless, this is one of their best performances that we've seen. Now they really need to lock things in and make sure that they can get the win that they have been looking for, striving for so long now. This team, though, has definitely found the formula. I mean, it really has come at the hands of, I think, for Timeless, Kuffa to a large degree, who has played fantastically ever since we've seen him coming into our region, obviously coming from Australia, but the ability to shift the entire focus of all of these compositions and to be able to play things like Junker Queen as well as Ramatra while being predominantly a Winston player has been huge for Timeless.
Yeah, it's just ideal. They still have Clear in the wings as well, should you need that, who is a phenomenal tank in their own right. But this is a team that it feels like has only recently come into form. You saw that 4th place finish heading out the group stage, and then you come into this and, okay, what happened? Well, 2 weeks passed and Timeless just seemed to have locked in, which is crazy because, you know, if you're to listen to Scrimbucks, it hasn't really been that. They just they show up for officials and they are dominating people left, right, and center. And I think we can both attest to it because we were there for a lot of those matches, Shirks. They were phenomenal. It's not like, oh, the other team's just playing bad. Timeless just completely turns up into a different beast when it's game day.
On the other side, of course, Saints, team that just had to go through an absolute wrecker of a series at Game 5. They ended it with an exclamation point, which is good news. I think that certainly helps them out, and they feel a lot more confident today than they did yesterday, which, again, another batch of good news, because yesterday was when they did take a, I would say, deflating loss to Timeless. Timeless looked phenomenal in that matchup, and now Saints have to probably go into this knowing full well that they're going to be playing a lot of the composition that they feel the least confident on against the Timeless team that looks the best at that composition, which is the Ramatra.
Yeah, False was bringing it up. It was their weakest composition coming in the past probably week or so, if not more than that, has solely been devoted to improving on that so they can match teams like what they're going into here up against Timeless and in their previous match.
Yeah, so obviously It's a lot to ask of a team to be able to have a turnaround in 24 hours or kind of less, actually, as we did start a little bit earlier today. So to then go ahead and say, okay, we have that tough loss. We have a match to prepare for tomorrow, but we really want to make sure that if we can get into the grand finals, we have everything prepared for that one as well. Go into review and try to figure out what happened. Obviously, Saints look better today, or at least they seem to, even in some of that Ramatra mirroring. But I still think it's a lot to ask in a short span of time. I think Saints will pull off a miracle if they can find a way to get into this series and make it look completely flipped from what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they can do a lot with the maps, but the first map doesn't bode well for them. Coming out of the upper bracket, the choice did go over to Timeless, and there was only one map for the job here. Let's be real with ourselves. It's Antarctic, but open things up.
Yeah, I think Antarctic Peninsula is one of those maps here where, yeah, you go into it and there is one thing that you're probably preparing more often than not, right? It's going to be, at least now at this stage, for these two teams, gonna be a lot of the Ramatra. You look at some of the maps, and like Icebreaker as an example, you could see different things come up. Certainly teams over in Europe would probably be saying, oh, well, that's actually where we love to play things like Wrecking Ball and Farah and all that kind of stuff. But here in North America, that is simply not the case. It is very much Ramatra heaven for most of these sub maps.
Yeah, this is an ideal situation for Timeless in a lot of ways. Not just is it Antarctic Peninsula, but also, I mean, it's been like 10 minutes since the Saints played their last match. They've had not too much time to recover, and like we said, I think I put it at the end of the series, like 0-3 Splash, they might have loosened the jar. For some teams, it's better to play longer. I mean, Tree's been heating up, but at what point does he actually stop? I actually don't know at this point. We've seen him for season after season just continue to do that, but maybe a little bit of gas out of the tank, maybe a little bit of focus isn't there, but also at the same time, maybe they've locked in, and that's something to consider when you see these teams play, because Timeless is going to need a little bit of time to get into the flow. As much as, yes, all these teams are capable enough and have the warm-up scrims, there's no warm-up that's going to prepare you for a team like Saints or a team like Timeless.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting conversations that we kind of go back to a lot of times with situations like this, where you do have that loser final right into a grand final, is that whole conversation of, okay, obviously Saints are coming into this very warmed up, but they did have to work quite hard to get that warm up and get into this situation. Whereas I guess you could make the argument that like Timeless, okay, you know, they may be coming into this cold, but they were able to watch everything that we saw transpire with Saints. And there's always that conversation that goes back and forth. At the end of the day, I think what's really going to happen here is the fact that, you know, Timeless, I think, regardless of the fact that Saints, you know, were able to play in that last series, regardless of the fact that Saints made adaptations, regardless of the fact that Timeless were able to see what those adaptations perhaps were, either way, we're going into this probably expecting Ramatra like 80% of the time. And I think really the only time that we can get away from that is when Saints have the option to pick on certain map types, which is, for one of them, Control. And obviously they don't have that here to start off with. Ilios isn't going to be something that they can open this series with. So either way, I think Timeless are still in a great position.
Yeah, as with any winning team for a lot of these brackets, a lot of the success has come on Control. Let's be real, only one of these teams is coming out on top. That first pick being super duper valuable. I know, God, I think you more than anybody is glad that we shifted away from the one map advantage. I've heard you preach many a time about the preference of the map advantage, and I think that's exactly what we're getting today, and hopefully it results in what is a slightly more even match, because these two teams both deserve it. What we've seen out of both of them is dominance throughout the bracket, and it's hard to say because they've been so far apart. Yeah, we saw them clash yesterday, but according to Faust, you know, that wasn't really the true showing that they want, and Timeless has still been on a heater this whole time. They've been very consistent, so a lot of the weight, yes, of course, lies on Saints just because they lost yesterday, but also because they were the ones that didn't seem in form yesterday. Timeless haven't missed a beat this entire time, and I don't think Grand Finals is going to make them do that.
Yeah, and the one point that you also didn't hit on, just, you know, with regards to that whole map thing, having the map advantage just is one less map for us to take up more time to make sure that people get the Genji skin. So, I mean, that's probably even more important at this stage. But either way, we're getting ready to dive in here. Timeless taking on Saints. 1 for Timeless in the chat right now, 2 for Saints. We definitely want to hear what y'all have to say, and of course, as well, get involved in the conversation on Twitter. That's definitely something that we want to see, you know, more people tweeting and see what you guys have to say about this one, because this is going to be a fantastic match, I have to say. Saints obviously came in, they've made adjustments. Let's see now just kind of what those adjustments are going to look like against a Timeless team that kind of shattered their confidence last night.
they've shattered a lot of teams' confidence, to be fair. I mean, it started with Afterlife, who looked incredible coming in, and just team after team has fallen by the wayside in the face of Timeless. Remember, they were the first ones to just give the smackdown to Redbirds, and that was not pretty. That was Redbirds who they sent out. Like, this bracket has been so weird for a lot of these teams, but I think Timeless has ironically felt the most comfortable in the chaos.
And the funny thing is, too, is like, I mean, what a story, what a journey for Timeless as well, because when you look at the Pro-Am qualifiers, when you look at Run It Back, all of those times where Timeless felt like they were one of the teams to be on the lookout for, that they had a shot to be able to go the distance, what was the one team that stood in their way on both of those occasions? It was Redbirds. So to start off the playoff bracket, sending Redbirds, the team that has been their gatekeeper for the better part of a year, to send them down to the lower bracket, where then Redbirds got decimated by Wisp in the lower bracket round 1 matchup. I mean, this has been very much a massive turn for Timeless in their history as a team. Hopefully one where we get to see a lot of positive tracks for all of these players, because they absolutely deserve it. They've been playing insanely throughout this bracket especially. But even in the group stage, we saw great stuff from them as well. And I think one of the big things to hit on, obviously we know so much about Kuffa and Cal and their story coming from, I guess, kind of from Australia, if you consider Cal Australian in
honorary
quotation
Australian,
marks.
you know? Yeah.
But also to see Wub's redemption has been incredible to watch as well.
Now Wub is the difference maker here, offering up a very different look than King, who opts for the Mei, something that Saints were running quite prominently in the previous map. Something we didn't get too much of was Squid on the Moira. Cal matches, a map-specific pick for either team, it seems. Saints opt to go for the high ground. Timeless wanting to be engaged upon as they have the close range advantage with that Reaper.
Just about draining resources from those Moiras, trying to lay in that pressure if you can. Wub can just help stabilize, but Saints, I mean, you talk about the pressure game, they're winning it for the most part here.
Saints positionally are in a great position. For Wub to hit an impactful hack is extremely difficult, though before the point has even gone over, Wub is already 60% up to an EMP, so if Timeless just make this go long, it could come up to that, or even if they lose the point, it's still very, very close. Speaking of close, Timeless' health bars nearing on 0, eventually do go down and Saints find a win.
Pressure is key. Pressure is king. Saints get out ahead, but you look at what we saw in that fight there, and obviously Saints, we did see Squid actually throw out the Coalescence, but Timeless are coming up on basically every ult, and things like the EMP are going to come through, and Timeless are going to probably have a ton of value gained from that. We'll have to see if Juby can help sustain Saints. They need to continue to win this pressure battle.
Oh, great sound barrier from Juby. So well timed. Still yet, though, members of Saints drop low. Sound barrier did just enough to get Tree into the back line, though. Death Blossom put a cap on a fight that ended quite swiftly for Timeless.
And not only that, but 2 ults to 3. Timeless look to start that off aggressively, but Saints, again, outlasted them. Tree with a massive play. I mean, we already know going into this that Saints had some of those adjustments, but I didn't expect this. I didn't expect them to look this good coming out the gates.
Their macro has been so good over both this and the last match, and I think that may be a through point that we continue to go back on, because I feel like that is one of the few shortcomings of Timeless. Their macro has been a little bit off, right? They're very commonly spending 1, maybe 2 more ultimates in fights than they should. Now they pay the price for that. Down an ultimate, Saints step forward to claim their prize, to try and claim this map, spending everything here. Blizzard, Annihilation, Coalescence, everything thrown in the face of Kuffa, who goes down despite Greed's best efforts to keep him upright with the sound barrier.
I just think it's so crazy that one of the biggest adjustments that we're seeing is just a ton of resources being thrown. I mean, heaved at Kuffa. I mean, so much of the game plan for Saints has been dictated by causing pressure towards the tank. Kuffa just unable to really get any kind of pressure going for himself. And look again.
That's Blossom into the back line, put the cap on things for sure. Tree ends it hiding behind King's ice block. There maybe is a touch here for Timeless. A TP on point for Doomed. But they've got a solid chance at this if Kuffa can just get back. Maybe. Sound barrier, though, sends Saints careening towards the likes of Doom. reaches out for his tank flare. Kappa, save me. And he does, he obliges, but only for a moment.
It just seems like an inevitability at this point. As long as False can stay alive, but now Timeless take that kill. We see the EMP come out. Now it's a 4v4, one that Timeless actually, they get some value in. They actually do flip the point, so this gives them a little bit more opportunity to make something happen.
I'm not going to say it's good yet. Saints have the next round of ultimates. Yeah. Squid's running him down in the Moira. There's not much gas left in the tank here. Kuffa, Annihilation gives them one more chance. Tree's down, so actually there's not too much follow-up on that freeze. Here we go next. Percentages backing up here for Timeless. God, this feels completely hopeless, but how have they stayed alive here? This is absurd.
On top of that, Annihilation finally at the ready here. Wub not going to be able to teleport out, so again, yeah, it doesn't feel like there's really any chance that we're going to be able to see this go the direction of Timeless, but the fact that they still maintain this and give themselves at least a semblance of an opportunity.
It's still going. The Annihilation. What is happening? False still has a Nemesis form up. Finally wears down. Kuffa burnt out. Somehow Timeless have juggled OT perfectly between a Lucio, a Sombra, a Tracer. Wub's almost up to another EMP. Tree finally ends things? Question mark? Here, God, that was taking a while. Timeless do not know how to die.
Yeah, one of those staggers that just lasts forever. And against a team like Saints, who in those situations often look so composed. I mean, they're usually able to close the door on those teams, but just not the case that time. Timeless, I mean, think about how that would have looked if Timeless didn't give away credit, or control rather, over to Saints midway through that fight where we saw them get up to about 20-something%. I mean, that went on so long, that could have gotten dangerously close to a 99 to 99.
I think that really goes to show the story of the series, though. I mean, Saints are one of the most organized teams we have. Timeless thriving in chaos for a large majority of this. Are so fluid and able to read the match when it does get crazy like that. But if Saints can keep it under wraps, if they can keep it in control, the series a normal one, they'll feel pretty good about their odds.
Normal one in quotations, but nonetheless, we do have the mirror here. Once again, the Moira's back in the mix. It is Rom versus Rom. Saints looking for that pressure game yet again. You can already see it. Kuffa taking so much damage, but it's Doom that goes down.
Mr. Godoa hits the dirt real quick. Timeless on the back foot, just up to lay the point to Saints.
Something to take note of. Tree looking for some more kills here, more final blows, and with that one right there, Door, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but okay, now it's gone. Now it's gone. We won't speak it out of existence just yet. We'll leave it out there.
Now a spawn hold for Saints. Look at how far up they're moving here. Just opting for every little advantage they can garner for themselves. The pick potential from Timeless isn't particularly high, so stepping forward like that is not all that dangerous. How do you not see Tree there, man? He's just around the corner. Kuffa fortunately gives him some punishment for his misgivings, but King's happy to trade that one back. How did King get here? I've got so many questions about this fight. I told you not to make it weird, Saints. They're making it too weird here.
That's what I'm saying. Quotation marks are necessary for this one. Timeless, though, they are going to be able to get control yet again here. But this time, not in one of those weird, elongated staggers. Still an odd one, nonetheless. Saints, though, getting set back up. I have to say, Timeless, in terms of ult economy, much better position. I mean, astronomically better position for them to be able to hold out from. But I think Saints, one of the things that has been really good for them is their ability to see some of these plays, like what Wub was going for there, and be able to pull teams and take advantage of maybe some kind of vulnerability and win a fight that they shouldn't win.
I mean, Trees provided the opening picks in those instances, though, and on the Reaper, opening picks aren't necessarily a specialty. Pressure is, though, and a lot of it being applied to False, being applied to Kuffa. Both sound barriers come out. In tandem, the coalescences. Death Blossom look to see through all the healing, but it's simply not enough. Wub finally gets the better of Saints after trading blows.
On top of that, Timeless take the lead. I mean, we saw going into that fight that Timeless had a much better position in terms of ult economy. Well, now everything is nullified. Timeless obviously taking the lead in terms of the scoreline, but everything else back to 0. No ults to open this fight up. We're basically in a neutral fight here. And that's where Saints have done most of their damage, just pressuring Kuffa. Timeless have to be careful here. They have to make sure that Kuffa stays upright. That's going to be the equation for Timeless and Saints here.
Low with an open onto Dooms. A lot of momentum for the Saints. They're trying to reset that Kuffa health bar. If they can do that, Timeless stand a solid chance in this fight still yet. How about dodging the wall? They do manage to, but oh man, it is Pummel City population Timeless with that one. Put in a box by King and promptly hydraulic pressed by False. There was nowhere to go.
Great setup there from King. I mean, absolutely fantastic wall. Great timing from the Saints. We saw the Nemesis form come out, but not the Annihilation. Was able to hold on to that. That's going to be huge for their chances here because, again, trying to overextend some of those ult uses, that would have been devastating for Saints. Now they have a great shot. They just have to use that wall well here. The Blizzard at the ready as well for King. And that's an early wall, not one that you want for Saints.
Well, this might be more than enough, though, with the Blizzard coming out. Let's get them a pick. They've given up that point presence, though. False looks to reclaim it with an Annihilation. And Timeless, I think the problem here is just the kill pressure. Finishing off health bars has been such a struggle for them. There's damage there, yes, but it's being applied so generally that they just don't have the real pressure they need to make Saints topple over. 95% on. It might have been last point. Is there a touch here, Hirix?
I mean, yeah, they have the Tracer come up, but as soon as Timeless get in here to try to actually take a real fight, Tree is sitting there waiting with the Death Blossom. Love to see how that goes for them. Probably not well. Oh, okay.
Oh, goes well for Timeless. Remember, this is the last fight for them as well. I'm doing a lot of the work in this one. Squid tries to buy back with the Coalescence. Remember, hand fade to point in it now, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. 99% on. Timeless even up the scoreline, and again, as they always will in scrappy fashion.
Overtime definitely going to be ticking down on this one. No staggered, no rallying, none of that stuff happening. We're going to go to round number 3. I got to say, though, at the end, Wub did call out Kuffa, said he was yapping a little too much yesterday. I got to say, I know for a fact that in that moment there, with Wub popping off, he was definitely the one piping up in that moment. I'm just going to call him out myself.
I think it's funny. I think every other team will, like, you know, call out another team or call out somebody else who they're used to going up against. With Timeless, they're always flaming each other endlessly. Yeah. it's such a starkly different vibe from every other team in the top 4, but I mean, they solidified their place at least there, if not top 2 by now.
All right, round number 3. Here we go. This is going to be a little different. If you've been following the series from the start, obviously it was Ramatra versus Ramatra. This is the one sub map, though, this round here, where things are definitely going to be a little different. We've got the Winston comp on Timeless. We've got the Diva version on Saints. This is something that we see often when False is in the mix, but already a good start here for Timeless.
I'm getting flashbacks to the Redbirds matchup where we saw a lot of the same things happening, right? Wub and Kuffa coordinating very well. Tree is trying to answer, but time was what he had in the last series, and that's just not being offered up this time. Timeless's dives have been so succinct, so concise in their execution that people are dying before Tree gets the chance to fire out the numerous arrows it takes for one to inevitably land.
And that's one of the things about this composition with the Diva is that you're obviously looking to try to answer a lot of the aggression, but the problem is that the delay between when things are happening for Timeless and how quick Saints can react and try to make something go the opposite direction. Timeless have already gotten a kill. They've already solidified a kill. They've gotten a 5v4 advantage. There's no coming back unless you have ults. So in neutrals, it becomes almost impossible to deal with, and you see False just unable to really do anything.
It's not often you see the Diva in this composition be the one to get pressured out like that, but yeah, such an intense decision from Timeless to immediately dive onto that target and follow up on the anti is really impressive. Didn't net a kill. But nevertheless, the damage is worth something. Anti-nade into the back line, a pulse bomb as well. Doom's bought another fight. That's gotta be it. Ana is so essential to making this composition work. Saints stab forward, trying for a last-ditch effort at taking away this high ground to the point, but Huff getting taken out of neck. False, rather. Trades his life for Kuffa. Sender's still going up for Timeless. EMP available, but Timeless don't need to use it. Really, really nicely done. In moments like that's when we usually see Tree pop off. and win those fights when the tanks are gone for Saints, but it's just not happening.
One of the things you're seeing here too is Timeless just not taking very much pressure. I mean, Cal has the nano boost now, but Squid got his before Cal was even like about 50%, and really that was just because Timeless wasn't taking very much damage, whereas Saints obviously was. Now though, looking forward, you see this EMP coming up for Wub. It's ready at the moment. I mean, how do you deal with this? EMP, Kuffa diving in as well, nano boost at the ready.
I mean, the second that nano boost wears off of Juby, EMP for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Rally out, immediately Juby's the target. The trade for Wub's probably worth it just because you take the rally off the line. Still yet, that D.Va is only at half HP, and with this Primal Rage putting hell upon the backline, False isn't going to be able to get up. In fact, has to use the self-destruct in order to get a new mech. In the meantime, though, the backline's just been torn to bits. It's 2 in spirit, Hurix. Doomed. This is his own self-pulse bomb, but I think you felt it in those knee stretches. The bags are not anything less than personal between these teams.
And one of the things that you have to appreciate as well about Timeless is the fact that every ounce of their kill pressure, the lethality, is just spread out between all of their members. You're seeing some of those final blows going to Cal, Greed even, obviously Doomed doing so much in this last map here as well, beyond the obvious Wub and Kuffa that you expect to see on the board so much. That is something that I just love so much about Timeless, especially with these Ramatra comps. They just work together so well. I know that there's been, some talks about maybe the macro isn't there as much as it would be for a team like Trick Room, but I think that narrative might need to be flipped around. I think Timeless has definitely done a lot to manage, all of the macro stuff, despite the fact that obviously a lot of these players are on multiple teams, like Kuffa playing with Team Australia, right? I mean, there's just so much of that going on.
I think the biggest thing that allows them to do that is coordination. I mean, these is, despite playing on different teams, yes, 5 players who have been together for some time now. I mean, there are a couple new additions, but the core stays largely the same, and that shows. Yes, Saints come in with a whole lot of cleanliness. They're an organized team, but when it comes to raw coordination and understanding what your teammates are going to do without having to communicate it, Timeless are more on the same page than virtually anybody else here.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the crazy things about this matchup, especially, is the fact that coming into this, you would expect, okay, who is the dive team? It's probably Saints. I mean, we saw what they were capable of back in Pro-Am qualifiers, going into Pro-Am. I mean, they were the team that you expected to be very, very profoundly talented when it comes to the dive. Now, as they've kind of transitioned, trying to become more of a diverse, team that could kind of take on all different types of things, like the Ramatra, putting a lot of time into that composition. We've seen Timeless kind of take up the mantle, and the thing that has made them the most scary, I would have to say, is, like you talked about, is that coordination. Their ability to just find a target, Wub call who he's going to have a hack on, and then every single player, it feels like, from Timeless is instantly bursting that target. They're all able to find a window of opportunity where they can get value as individuals to come together as a team to get easy first bloods.
Yeah, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Timeless is a team that I think very much is the antithesis of a lot of things that Saints represent in terms of not just playstyle, but in terms of what they bring to the table and as players, as personalities. Very much momentum-based. Timeless play with their hearts on their sleeves a lot of the time, whereas Saints are, they come in with a lot of that experience, a lot of that pro play, consistent time and time again. Their mental is practically unshakable. But when Timeless get going, when they get a strong map 1 win like that, especially one to pull back after map 1, I think that's a big boost to them, and they can take a lot of that momentum into further maps and continue that coordination, the really clean communication that we expect from them when they're firing on all cylinders.
And speaking of those further maps, map 2 is going to be selected, and interesting here that we do wind up going over to Blizzard World, actually, of all maps, a map that was selected into Saints earlier. Now Saints are going to pick it themselves. I mean, it did go well for them in their last series, so looking to pull that one back out again against a Timeless team that we know we have an expectation for, but Timeless are going to be able to do something a little bit different with this one. Just like we saw some of those adaptations being made by Saints in their series that we just saw in the Losers Final, Timeless can very much do the same thing here. Clear, coming in. Now we know if it does come to a Sigma versus Sigma matchup, well, Timeless, they're not going to be falling short really to any regard.
No, not at all. I mean, Clear has been doing a lot of things for this team, kind of in the shadows. It is a great shot caller for them. You mentioned Kuffa as kind of helming the team as being a strong leader in comms, but Clear has played very well the off-tank role in its current iteration, right? On those specialist maps where you need one, Rialto, Blizzard World, and the like, that come into the fold outside of the Ramattra and Junker Queen.
Yeah, definitely excited to see Clear come into the fold yet again here because, yeah, one of the things that especially comes out in this map is the fact that you have things like D.Va, Sigma into the mix, and Clear has been fantastic. Amongst those players, actually, where we've seen, certainly in the spring stage more than anything else, we've seen a lot of teams incorporate one of those second tanks that comes in and is able to basically not miss a beat, and that's something that historically, at least in my mind, when I look back at Contenders, you see a lot of these tanks come in. It's like, yes, they're able to play to the meta, but it's not quite the same as when we see what would you consider as like the main tank who you see most often in that meta. But this time around here in spring stage, a lot of these tanks like Clear, for example, they come in and they are phenomenal. They look just as good as any other tank that we see in the mix. And of course, Timeless missing Kuffa. You need someone to come up and fill those shoes, and Clear just does a great job.
Yeah, I've honestly enjoyed watching a lot of this meta. Just from the off-tank picks alone, I think getting to see off-tank players predominantly playing Sigma and D.Va, it's always a treat, you know? When they're not being resulted to the Zarya and things like that, when they can just lock in the thing that they played in Overwatch 1 for like 5-6 years and show true prowess on it, it's always a sight to see. And between Clear and False, what we're going to get in this is nothing short of incredible gameplay.
So taking a look back, or I think the easiest way to kind of break down this map number 2 is to take a look back at recent history. I mean, we just saw it in the last series, and one of the things that we did see specifically for Saints is, it was all kind of down to a pressure game. We saw some adjustments being made from them, or at least we heard from them that there was some adjustments made. And you would look at the first round of this series, and you saw Saints doing some of the stuff that we saw being done to them, where a lot of that pressure was forced towards tanks. And I wonder here if they're going to be opting for the same thing. Obviously, we know Tree is still in the mix. We know some of those random headshot picks are going to come out, and First Bloods are going to be something that could determine a win or a loss here. But Timeless, they're a different beast. It's a much different dynamic here at play for Saints in this one as opposed to the last.
Almost definitely. I mean, I think you're looking at a team that was kind of centered around Cowman, right, up against a team that was centered around Mikey, and now both teams are kind of pulling in their off-tanks that are reserved in the wings for map-specific picks where you're bringing out these off-tank picks. I think this is definitely a little bit more in the comfort zone of Saints, though. It's been a map pick they've brought out pretty much the entirety of the season. I don't think anybody's been strangers to Blizzard World as of late. I think almost definitely our most picked hybrid map.
Funny to see the progression there for Saints too. I mean, they have picked this, but they are definitely not playing the same composition they started with on this one. Unless Tree is doing exactly the same thing that we always see Tree doing. And on attack here, this is going to be a very good opening. All of that healing for Timeless, gone.
You can't keep getting away with it! I don't know how he keeps doing it, man. I don't get how you can just mail order arrows to the head. It's not allowed.
It's easy. When you see an enemy, just shoot them in the forehead. It's that simple.
Tree makes me really want to nerf that hero. Anyways, Timeless coming back into the point. See if they can get some sort of purchase on it. And they certainly do have that. Saints didn't gain much ultimate charge from their pick earlier. Reclaiming this amount of space against a Sigma is a lot easier said than done, especially when Tree's got control of the high ground just like this. You can continue to harass your backline bit by bit, and now as he peers over this little ledge of the high ground, the real pressure is applied. Though lacking Juby, Saints are running out of time and resources, and I think they may have completely run out, unless Tree can save them.
Good luck.
Not happening.
Yeah, Timeless managed to get a stop here. I mean, look at that, though. About 98%. I mean, just milliseconds away, basically, of being able to get that
2
full
minutes
cap.
off for Timeless? A win is a win there. If I get first picked by Tree and I get to hold the point, I'll take that every day.
On top of that, you also have the ability to force a good brawl in this next fight as well. As long as you can disengage some of those DPS ults that are going to come from Saints, Timeless are going to be able to really extend this next fight by throwing their ults at Saints off the pivot and try to go for a massive momentum shift.
Yeah, Sound Barrier Annihilation is a longer fight than I think Saints could ever realistically see their way through without a pick. Oh! Pulse Bomb! Beautifully timed onto the Dragon. That catches Greed! No Sound Barrier, no Annihilation either. Not to mention, Saints completely kneecap any hopes of a long fight Timeless had.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about going into that fight, Timeless needed to get away from those 2 DPS ults. Unfortunately for them, both DPS ults wound up getting some value, so Saints easily maneuver their way past Timeless. However, Timeless still in a great position here on this second point. Obviously, they were able to get some time away from Saints. Now they can set up on the high ground, and Timeless are going to have all of those ults that we talked about still here for this second point, trying to contest close, and they're going to use this corner to their advantage just to get up into Saints' face. See if they can get some value out of this, though.
Clear is feeling ungood.
Oh, false
20,
missed it.
200 HP. Yeah, the Flux missed. Tried to duck away into that corner room. Do you trade tanks? You need to trade tanks. They're no false lived. Fight lied on a knife's edge, but Saints remain unscathed.
Tree right now with 6 final blows at the moment.
God.
6 of his 8 eliminations, he was the one delivering the death blow. Now setting up on that high ground, you see Timeless making a lot of adjustments. We're seeing that double flex support diva composition coming out. It is going to be involving the dive here a little bit. Timeless, they don't have the Yapper, they don't have Kuffa here to make the call, so see what Clear and the rest of Timeless can do. This is a good start for them, taking out Squid.
And the Pulse Bombs will do the talking for Wub. Yet to follow up on it. Vindicure just trying to pressure out that back line, but Saints won't be seeing any progress here, at least not for the near future. Clear makes a dive in, trying to make a bid towards that Brigitte, but she refuses to go down, and Saints again, this bend don't break mentality is strong for them, but they do eventually snap.
One of the funny things, too, about this composition is that oftentimes you want to be able to play defensive, right? You want to play your angles, you want to play kind of far away, keep Cal and Greed insulated in the back, and what do? You just dive in, and it just works. Doomed open things up. Squid wasn't there to kind of provide some of the utility that Anna would otherwise provide, as well as healing, damage pressure as well. Saints backed off. Timeless go for a quick reset for their diva, who obviously isn't just in position just yet. But Wub working towards that EMP, that's going to be probably a necessity for Timeless here. The way things are going, with the way that Saints are working their way around, and they're building up ults as well. EMP has to get value here for Timeless, otherwise Saints, they're just going to bulldoze their way through this one.
Yeah, we saw what those DPS ultimates could do earlier. I'm still very scared now that we've seen the effect that a dragon can have, but on this high ground, I mean, look at how vulnerable their supports are. Yeah, it's so easy for Tree to just line it up. Do either of them go down? No, this time Cal Greed managed to escape unscathed. Doom doesn't even have to recall, so the dragon doesn't do much of anything for them, not even garner a positional advantage. Saints instead just stab out and have given Wub more time to build up towards this EMP. Still isn't there yet, though. 99% for the Sombra. Wub, with throwing a translocator, is waiting for the right opportunity. Timeless holding all the cards close to their chest, waiting for the right moment to strike. They've absorbed all the pressure that Saints could put out early into this fight. A Pulse Bomb dodged valiantly as well. There's the opportunity. EMP connects. It's false in their sights, but they can't quite find the Sigma, nor the Tracer. It's Clear who falls, and Uno reverse card played by Saints, who take the brunt of every ultimate. Timeless off up from the high ground and simply spit it back in their face.
Fantastic job there, actually, from Saints to apply that pressure early on to Clear. The only way Timeless was going to be able to win that fight there was if we saw some coordinated dive happening after the EMP came out from Wub. And oh man, I mean, talk about just salt in the wound here. Pressure is certainly on for Timeless as Saints just stampeding forward. Picks coming in. That's never where you want to be when you're playing against Saints, is just in the crosshair of Tree. Always going to be able to find that headshot.
They've got to reclaim a little bit of space. Oh, come on. I mean, Greed wasn't even there. The arrow was pre-fired, and then Tree was looking the other way. You don't even have to be in Tree's crosshair to die to Tree.
Look at this in the meantime, too. They just been sailing this cart forward, just maintaining 2-3 on at all times just to make sure that they get as much speed out of this cart as they possibly can. Make the most out of the momentum that they've created. Dragon Strike ready, but everybody has to get away from this Diva Bomb.
Wow. I mean, Clear made it really tricky, but Tricky's not gonna win you a game against Timeless. What you need is ultimates, and unfortunately, they're a little short. This Transcendence is the last real bid they have towards it, though King has managed to pulse bomb himself out of existence. Gives a little bit of reprieve over to Timeless. 37 seconds on the clock now, and they want to end this fight. Find some certainty in a reset so that they know they just have one more left.
I think Timeless have definitely found a different route towards dealing with this, right? I mean, before we saw Timeless dealing with Kuffa just taking so much pressure and then trying to find some of those dives, and that worked out well for them. Now, this time around, it's very much, okay, if we could deal with Tree, we'll be in a better spot. And they've at least done that here. They lose greed, but they deal with Tree.
It's so worth. I'll take that every day of the week. Timeless now, 4 versus 4. A little bit of Overwatch 3 beta preview. As overtime burns down, Saints have lined up on the opposing side of the cart, trying to get Tree back into the fold, but it's Greed who's going to be back first. Opts to switch to a Brig as well to try and keep Cal more safe. All the meantime, Wub is building up towards an EMP. Trump card that could put a lock on this whole thing if Cal doesn't go down, but King! A critical melee gives Saints a chance. EMP out. Who does Timeless target down? It's Juby to go. False's health bar still not brought up. Same goes for Timeless, though, who are risen and subsequently fallen. Trades going either way. Spawns closer for Timeless. Green just edging over White in the kill feed. A hold, but at the end of the map, one that we don't really see often here, if ever, the end of this map.
Yeah, you see a lot of times teams get stopped up even in point A, sometimes point B. Final point, especially so close to the final point, has definitely been a rarer occurrence in this meta, especially recently in this meta. But Timeless, we know coming into this that Saints had a very clear picture in their mind of how this was going to go, and I think off of that push, they've definitely set a good tone for themselves. And again, I think the big thing is just that Tree is back. I mean, that is absolutely the story of at least today, if not the entirety of Spring Series.
The kid's got a lot going for him right now. Right now, it's about 2 3/4 of a point. Timeless have got to match that. Let us know how you're feeling about the match. Let us know how you're enjoying the match. I feel like, Yurix, you and I got dressed up for today, for the big game. What are y'all wearing? In your pajamas? Send us your setups.
You gotta be careful about that one.
Oh, yeah, actually. Send us your setups as long as they're not, they make a good impression.
Yeah. All right. Timeless, it's their turn to attack here. See what they can accomplish. Saints, 109 meters after point B. We've already seen what Tree can do and finding some of those first bloods, just absolutely shutting down pushes. Timeless, gonna have to be wary of that. Those arrows come in. Clear can simply not eat them all. So these rotations, all the more dangerous. And you can see Wub and Doomed just trying to create some space so that Tree isn't just doing this for free, but even still now happening.
So difficult. Well, I mean, Wub and Doom don't just have to make space, but they also have to work their way around the sides to find some sort of angle on the team. But, I mean, Tree and King are playing bouncer to the lanes particularly well.
40 seconds gone for Timeless. Really not a lot of value gained so far. I mean, in terms of economy, not really much happening here. Timeless is just working their way into position. It's all about setting up that dive. If they can get into a position where they can get a hack off, go for a target, apply that pressure, but Saints just keep finding that answer.
Again, that bend don't break mentality is so straightforward for them. They're only giving as much space as they absolutely have to Timeless, and right now that's 0.
Hacks onto King. I mean, this has been kind of the entirety of the attack. Timeless trying to go forward, trying to get into position. Saints basically just find a pressure-based pick in rotation. I mean, this has been smooth sailing for Saints. This is definitely not the story that Timeless wanted in the second map, especially after a pretty solid win in map number 1. Half that time bank is gone, and we're back at it again here. Timeless about halfway towards those ults. They definitely don't want to get down to, 10 seconds left on the clock before finally they're able to ult out.
I think there's a big problem in that Wub's only 65% to an EMP after 2 minutes. I mean, that's dire, to say the least, in terms of ultimate charge, so that's not going to bail him out anytime soon. Neither's this. Greed gets pulse bombed in rotation again. Saints are playing this phenomenally. And I'm gonna be honest, I think a lot of that does come down to where they thrive in. This is a very organized comp. You can play it front to back in a quite straightforward manner. And so a lot of the pressure that's coming out from Timeless, Saints are capable of absorbing because they're not able to create that same chaos that they were before.
Now, this is a morale shifter, I will tell you that. But I think there's opportunity to switch it back for Timeless here, to be more explosive. This is finally going to be their opportunity where they can try to get something done, and it really comes down to Saints' ability to answer. Timeless going to once again do the exact same thing that we've been seeing for the last 2 pushes that have drained them of 3 minutes already on their time bank. It's just about getting into position, getting picked as well by Tree.
Man, dude.
It's relentless.
You just have to pay the troll toll before you're able to get to the other side of the map. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Just further that clock winds down. Just better and better for Saints here. Timeless. We do see a little bit of a timer placed on that push as Wub goes out, but everything's ready. So we're down to 40 seconds left. Door, this has to be the one for Timeless. They have to get value.
I mean, there's finally an EMP. We certainly didn't pay for 2-day delivery on it, but maybe 2 minutes will do. Doomed follows up with a pulse bomb onto Juby. Even that's not the most valuable of picks, though. Saints still have a lot of tools to make this one happen. Yeah, it's traded for Cal, a far more valuable target. The Timeless is now lacking. Fortunately, they've taken down False in the meantime. It's still not being handed over for free, that's for sure. Tree and Squid still alive and looking for picks. Reed down. There's a very real re-engage here for Saints, Curix, and it may be more than real. It may be great.
Yeah, I mean, they've got virtually everybody ready to go. King's back, obviously, in a big way, and the last player to arrive is already here as well. False is back on the Diva. Timeless are drained pretty low. How do they stabilize it? I mean, they can't.
You don't. You simply don't. They got 1 round of ultimates off in 4 minutes. They were reduced to a paste by Saints. There was nothing left of them at the end of that. More bags punctuate the endings of maps. This time it's Saints doing the stretching.
Definitely getting a good workout in that one. Mostly just impatience for Saints. Just waiting for that next round of free dubs when we see those rotations come out. I mean, every single time Timeless was going for a setup, it just felt a little bit disconnected. And like I said before, Saints is one of those teams that they wait for those opportunities and they just pounce. And that's exactly what we saw time and time again. Timeless just getting caught out over and over and over again. It definitely feels like Blizzard World and First Bloods go hand in hand for Saints.
There's questions raised of how much could they actually do this, just rely on DPS gapping and finding big picks like that, but it's seeming to be their best shot at victory today. I'm not going to say this map solidifies it, though, because there is so much yet left to see between these 2 teams. If you look just at the match yesterday, Timeless versus Saints, Antarctic Peninsula goes the way of Saints. It's a completely different ball game today, as now it's been the inverse of the first 2 maps from yesterday. So I really think it's anybody's game yet, but Blizzard World certainly looked like Saints'.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited, though, because map number 3 in the last series was very much defined by if we go for, not Saints, well, it's probably going to be Shambali, and it's probably going to go one way. This time, though, going into this series, I think it's a much different story. It's a much different picture where obviously this has gone 1-to-1. We're going 50-50 on a lot of these maps. And I think certainly when we go into a map number 3 door, I'm looking out for a Ramatra map. But either way, things are about to get interesting. And there's, I don't think, any real maps left on the table that are going to be decided by just map pick alone.
You guys are in for an exciting one. Map 3 comes up after the break. Traitor has quickly become one of the most popular heroes in high-level Overwatch 2. It takes insane mechanical skill, cerebral game sense, and ice in your veins to make impact plays with her, but these players make it look easy.
Maimon and Vestal are just playing off of each other perfectly.
Maimon, by the way, found one who built that Transcendent. And a
Pulse Bomb connects onto both Fuki and Turkey. W Maimon on this map on Havana truly has been next level.
And just as their eyes glance away, a pulse bomb connects to the back of their head. Kanale and Cookie hit the dirt. Rocket trying. Rocket could be a hero in moments like these. Rocket saved the day again! Rocket's gonna chase him out too. Oh, and he traitor gaps him. Yeah, Rocket's that guy right now. If you haven't, be sure to check it out. Registrations have opened up for the Radiant Major 2 for Calling All Heroes Challenger Series. Be sure to check that one out at start.gg/CAH Major with an underscore in the middle and a 2 after it. It's a whole mouthful, but fortunately, we put it up there on the screen for you.
Diving back into our series here, though. 1-1 is the score line right here, Dorian. We're going into a map 3. Obviously, this is 1st to 4. So we've got a lot of time still left on our hands through this one. So everybody in the chat right now trying to make sure that they have enough time to get that Genji. Things are looking pretty good for you. Yeah. I would have to say there's probably a lot more time left on the clock for you before that one runs out. But let's go ahead and get things figured out. Where are we heading for map number 3? Well, none other than Shambali making a return. And I mean, this one makes a lot of sense, right? For reasons similar to our last series where Timeless, you know, we could see them coming out on a Ramattra composition, just going Ramattra versus Ramattra. We already heard from False and Saints that this is going to be something that they have to figure out very quickly. They have to adapt to, they have to adjust to. So it makes a lot of sense why we're seeing Shambali. It's just not going to be as much of that kind of lukewarm style, you know, flanking that occurs, more of that front to back that we see from Timeless.
I will say, Saints looked not bad on it earlier. Yes, they lost, but they still got a strong hold in. Tree still finding picks left, right, and center. I don't know why it's entering my brain, but I'm just remembering last time that you and I were here and covering Wisp, just doing the unthinkable on this map and bringing out everything that you're not supposed to. I'm gonna be honest, I'm like, that doesn't even feel like the worst shout because Timeless were playing so well on it earlier, but nevertheless, it's likely to be that Ramattra mirror, and Timeless feel pretty comfortable in it, though Saints say they've fixed a lot of their problems. I'd be curious to hear, if we get to talk to them, what they think their problems were in yesterday's game, and see if you can try and spot the big differences, because there certainly are some. They're playing very clean.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we saw opening up in map number 1 certainly was, you know, especially now with Kuffa coming back in, obviously, as we just saw there, a lot of pressure being exerted towards the tank. I mean, that is not something you see as often, recently, as maybe, I guess, to a degree. You see things with like the Winston-based compositions especially where people are picking things like Echo, and yes, there certainly you see it, like Echo Tracer into Winston. However, when you see these Ramatra mirrors come out and you see a lot more pressure being thrown towards the tank, that is something that is unique, I think. Something that we have seen Saints throw in recently. And Cal and Kuffa, really that do? I mean, absolutely, they definitely are. And it's making a return here. Kuffa back in the mix. But like I talked about, Dor, I think one thing that we're going to have to look out for is whether or not Timeless can keep Kuffa alive, because clearly one of the major adjustments that have been made is just looking for the tank and pressuring there.
Right, there's two players that get along on this team that you can trust to try and keep one another alive. It's Cal and Kuffa, who, in my headcanon, are just holding hands across the Atlantic Ocean. So, I guess the Pacific? No, which one's actually closer? I know
Pacific.
both. Yeah, Pacific's closer.
Attackers incoming.
Nevertheless, Timeless, move forward. All the damage again, likely to be thrown onto Kuffa as it has been before, and with Tree to do a lot of that damage, it gets a little bit tricky. Saints move out early, though. We didn't see this in the last series. Stepping out from the hidey hole. Instead, they tried to stay back and rely on picks from Tree. They may pay the price for their misgivings here, as well as False is not exactly well for wear.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time now, unless Saints can find a way to stabilize before someone goes down, and there it is. Timeless pounce. They get the kill that they were looking for.
Oh, this is such a dangerous hallway to be in when there's two Hanzos. Oh my god. Yeah, Tree's eventually going to get one, but it's not enough to match the pressure from Timeless.
And one of the other things that we've seen, too, is that oftentimes when you see Maze go up and try to make an aggressive play where, in the past where we saw those Reinhardt compositions with the Maze, with the rush, a lot of the Maze were playing more aggressively. They were looking for those flank angles once we see them establish their wall position. Now here, it seems like a lot of teams have definitely seen that be the case still for a lot of Mei players, and they pounce on that Mei to try to instantly burst them down. It looks like Timeless got some value there. King gonna have to find a way to stay alive in these fights.
Already Ice Block forced out for Doomed. Hill given up by Saints. Wow. They're disengaging, but there was no ability that was disengaged. Now the abilities come out from Timeless after they'd already taken all the space. This was phenomenally played, having forced back Saints early in the fight. Huffa does get traded, but False is next to go. Wub just absolutely takes him to the cleaners for a couple seconds there. The rest of the Saints members can really only cower behind what is very little cover.
Yeah, I mean, if Tree is coming alive, I don't even know what we call that from Wub. I mean, 3-shot False with a little bit of help, admittedly, but I mean, most of the work, most of the work was from Wub there, let's be honest. And now Timeless basically waltz their way up to a point A capture. Saints, though, they've got the arsenal loaded up. They've got Annihilation this time around, and we know just how effective that can be, but really, the separation!
Oh, it's such a good dragon, though. The second clears away a lot of the team. Annihilation still comes out. Saints made it to point, but not unscathed. A lot of the health bars low, notably Kings, who falls first. The Annihilation does take down Kuffa. It's just enough. Saints edge out the fight, though. It was a little dicey there for a sec.
I mean, that was still such a great play from Doomed, because what it did was it forced Saints to have to use a lot more than they would have liked. Now we're kind of back into a little bit of a neutral state here. Timeless, though, we'll see what they can get done. It might just have to be picks. We expect to see them try to take the high ground, but in fact, they are not. They actually are pushing the low ground here. A lot of teams like to work that right side instead, but Timeless, they're going for it all right away.
Mortality Field forced out for Saints. Timeless follows. Nobody's working with full health right about now. All right by Timeless. They stabilize and look to push further. Cart progress has still been found. It's nearing one fight territory, but that fight will not be found now as Greed falls to the Dragon. An optimal trade, though, for Timeless is opposing Lucio did have Sound Barrier, and now it's man advantage for Timeless, just waiting for that Lucio, and then they're going to push onto that high ground.
I just get ready to get around this corner. Oh, a wall going up already for Saints to just try to prevent picks coming out from Wub. I have to suspect that was the reason there, but nonetheless, Saints gonna have to bide
No
their
counter
time
wall.
waiting for that next resource to come up. Yeah, the next wall to come up.
And there isn't. That moment's hesitation on the wall from King, forced out by the cooldown earlier, is paying massively for them, as now Kuffa got to move forward. False's health bar was not full to start, and Saints play the entirety of this fight on the back foot. Despite a great opening pick onto Wub, there's just not enough positionally to work with for them.
Yeah, not at all. As soon as
all
they
off
gave
that
up that
wall.
corner.
Everything off that one wall.
And we've seen that a few times, actually, in matchups like this, where you see one resource get thrown out a little bit haphazardly, and then all of a sudden the team recognizes that is our win condition now. That is the reason that we're going to have an advantage. And Timeless took full advantage of it, continued their progression forward, and now actually walking. Ooh, this is not a good wall for Timeless.
Get put through the pain train for a bit. Kuffa, though, takes all the pressure, puts it right back onto False, who's been the object of Timeless's cyberbullying of late. I mean, Saints were dishing it out on the Kuffa earlier. I think Kuffa just sent the army towards them. Message form does get Kuffa out, but I'm afraid it's not going to be the same fate for Cal and Doom. Timeless sent back to the drawing board.
Still with 3 minutes on the clock, though. I mean, Timeless certainly have to feel very, very good about this one here. Saints setting up on their defense. Really going to be relying on some of those picks coming in. You know that Tree is looking for those opportunities, playing far back, just going ahead and just throwing out those arrows. Oftentimes one sticks, but they need something now. And you can see Tree actually in rotation, not even able to catch Timeless while they were exposed.
Catch him out with this, though. The Dragons have been really good from Tree, and yet another one delivers. Kuffa falls, and the rest of the team segmented away. Fortunately for Timeless, it was at least quick.
Yeah, I think that is something that they're looking for. If Timeless can actually get some of their ults up without really paying too much to Saints, they should be in a good spot. I mean, you look at the situation that they're in right now. Saints are empty. I mean, the gas tank is on E. It is flashing everything. This thing is basically about to start puttering, and Timeless have virtually everything that they could ever want. It's just about creating momentum here.
The strangers to it are Timeless. Amplification Matrix starts the ball rolling. Dooms, though, with the block firmly in front of it. Trades back and forth are not what Timeless wanted to open this up, especially with spawn advantage going to Saints, though. And I think they understand that. They're going to back away, maybe look for one more onto Tree, but that even may have been an overextension as it's forced out the Immortality Field and a kill on the Cow.
I don't even know if I see Timeless being able to cap anymore. I mean, it felt like
That was the opportunity. If
yeah,
there was one.
that was absolutely the one. And Timeless were just, I mean, they were trying to create that momentum like we were saying, trying to make sure that they don't overspend when they have such a great position in the economy race. But now, definitely not the case anymore. They just took a little bit too much time, and Saints took full advantage of it. And now Saints just have everything ready to go with a minute left on the clock here for Timeless.
What do you do when you're facing down the full arsenal of Saints' Fury? You've got to find picks. You've got to find wins early in the fight. Wub needs to answer the pressure Tree's been applying. Right now, though, nobody's picking up that call. Tree looking for another on the back line, but with the sound barriers up, there's a moment where neither team should be losing players, but Kuffa goes down regardless through the sound barrier. Saints just have too much to deal with positionally and ultimates-wise in this fight with 20 seconds left now on the clock. Both teams have burnt themselves down. Can there even be a touch, though, for Timeless is the question.
I have to imagine that is going to be a factor, that Timeless are going to be able to at least get the touch. They should be able to send, at bare minimum, Greed forward to get that going. They have plenty of time to do it. But, yeah, I mean,
It's easier
I
said
don't
than
know
done.
that they're going to win the fight. I think they
Oh,
can
they're walling! Whoa! What? A wall over top. Wub's got a flank now. Holy cow! Timeless are getting swifty with it. Little creative play. You never expected that out of them. All 5 members go for the touch. Wub stays back. Creativity only gets him so far, though. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. Saints, pick up a fight win.
I think one of the
Caught
funny
me
things,
by
too, is-
surprise. I was not ready for that.
Well, Juby seemed more than prepared for it, because as soon as they walled up, Juby actually booped them. So Cal went into the skybox and was just free pickings for everybody on Saints. But nonetheless, still a great push by Timeless. So getting value out of this decision here to go to Shambali. And a lot of that, I think, off the back of that early momentum that we saw created early on in that first section of the map. And then we saw that little moment where Saints threw out what was kind of just like a whatever wall. I mean, just hopefully we don't get picked while we're maneuvering back to the rest of our team. But because it wasn't yet available, they couldn't stop Timeless pushing through them. And we saw point B capped because of it too. That final section though, Dor, I gotta say, so hard to get through, especially when you're playing against Saints, a team that just is so good at finding those opening picks.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough stuff getting through C anytime on this map, but the amount of times we see teams get to C is not the highest. It's definitely higher than it used to be, but with the revolution of this current spawn hold iteration and how teams are kind of learning to make it last as long as humanly possible, no, most of the time it's ending around B, so I'll call it still pretty solid push from Timeless.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Attackers
No spawn.
Time for Saints. Yeah, no spawn hold. This is an interesting take by Timeless. Every single team that plays on this map, generally speaking, loves to hold out where you see Saints at kind of right now. Just on the other side of that wall. Timeless playing much further back, though. A lot more range to play with, but more opportunity for Saints to work around them, to actually play the high ground themselves. So they've flipped the map now.
I think Timeless knew this would be coming, though. They understand this position. They're the ones that came prepared with it. Love with a good one on the squid as well. I mean, that should be a win unless you get quadruple picks by Tree, which is certainly not out of the cards ever, but seems less and less in them the further on this goes. Big one, though. That's exactly what you need. Tree's just got to find one to break this, and he's delivered on that twice as much.
Timeless. Good shot here on their defense. I mean, remember, Saints looked fantastic in that final stage of the map, but Timeless just cruised past them to open things up. So we'll have to see if they can find a way to continue to do that here. Not a good start, though. Saints are just relentless.
Yeah, that's an ugly pick to give away. This will give them at least that corner, if not two, definitely not two. Timeless will come back with high ground, some ultimates in hand, and a chance to keep this A-hold alive.
That corner hold going to be so important for Timeless. If they lose this fight here and give up point A, things are not looking good for their ability to hold out for a long time here, unless they find some way to turn things back around, obviously. But Saints, I think, smart to make sure that they bide their time. Just give that opportunity to Tree. He's going to be the one that can really open things up for you.
So far, not quite able to deliver. Finds a couple of half-health bars, but Annihilation, new lease on life for the fight for Timeless. Tree eventually does, though, as he always will. Amplification Matrix to try and get more for Timeless. They do. Tree oversteps his bounds, though Kuppa may have done the exact same thing. Blizzard certainly spells the end of his fate. Finding a creative way out of the fight. Now needs to drag into Peel. Dragon feels a little bit too far behind the pressure that Saints are applying at the moment, though, to actually give them the stabilization they're looking for. And now it's just a cat and mouse, Hanzo and May game. What is going on? Why are we here? Why are we here? Timeless are fighting back. King, your team needs you! Oh my god. Oh, I mean, that's illegal. That should not have worked.
That was an exceptional play, though, from Wub. I mean, Wub almost actually caught King completely off guard, went around the side, and Doomed came out and instantly caught a body shot that actually got him in the shoulder. Doomed went up on his own wall. If that had hit the head, Doomed would have died immediately, and Wub would have had an insane flank, and also obviously wouldn't have been in the fight. But they lost anyways. Now Saints stepping up. They have a minute left here, Door. That's it.
Wall into false, but remember that Annihilation is up, as is Sound Barrier for Timeless. This time connecting onto the critical members that it needs to. Annihilation still lasts, though. The Kuppa burning down ever so slowly. There just isn't enough damage focused onto that tank player to force him to respect the rest of Timeless.
So a cap finally does happen here for Saints. 3 minutes now left for them. Still, I would say defensively a good spot here for Timeless in terms of positioning, the geometry of the map, holding these corners. That is what makes defending Shambali so much easier than attacking it, generally speaking. But Saints, we just know what they're capable of in terms of finding these opening picks, and they have the vision, they have the information that they need to be able to just kind of shoulder peek this. Tree looking for that dream, that miracle first pick.
All it takes is one, and I don't even think it's a dream anymore when it's Tree. It's not a miracle, it's just a matter of time here.
An inevitability. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just Wub versus Tree. Who can land it first? They're both going to hit one.
Implication Matrix certainly bodes well for Wub's odds. Huffa, though, is the one to deliver the final blow onto Juby. Saints now actually can't disengage. This is massive. If Timeless could cleanly pick off one or two of these players, their ultimate charge is going to spike.
And that's going to be huge, too, because you look at the timer, and, I mean, that timing could be so impactful. I mean, more than anything else at this stage. Timeless falling back. Blizzard going to buy them a little bit of time, though.
It's a nice Blizzard, but doomed to move forward after it. You have to be careful not to get picked off there. But Wub's Dragon following the Blizzard is what really topples over the likes of Saints, who again are only really going 1-for-1 in terms of ultimates up against Timeless. This is a very good game macro-wise by the team that, again, we didn't really recognize as the one to usually control that lane.
Now only 80 seconds left here for Saints, and you can see Timeless well aware of the position that they're in. They're going to go for this spawn hold, and this is very smart from them, because even if they die, even as they die, they still have a fantastic opportunity to just pull time away from Saints. And as Saints get ready to get back over onto the cart, this is time spent that Timeless has now to get back to the fight. They don't really lose anything by doing that play.
Yeah, you get a dragon, get some space, ultimate charge for Greed as well, which is critical when you're trying to catch up to Juby. And now they have a re-engage pretty clean on their plate. Just don't get picked off by Tree, and you should be alright. Easier said than done, though. The corner's theirs to play. Falls with the Annihilation, trying to hold it pretty late into the fight. Steps forward towards Doomed and the crew. Alpha does exactly the same, walking into his backline with Annihilation. It's a handshake from the Ramachos, agreeing that they may lay waste upon each other for just a couple moments. Disengaged, though, forced by the Amplification Matrix from Cal now. It's Saints with an Amplification Matrix, Greed with a Sound Barrier. Which of the supports can land it cleaner? Amplification Matrix from Squid starts things out. Greed holding the Sound Barrier until late into the fight. Finally pops it alongside the Blizzard, but the Blizzard doesn't find anybody either. Saints are waiting for it. They've disengaged it beautifully. Now it's only Elbow Grease and Spit we're working with. Neither team has anything. No cards left to play, but Wub's got an arrow in hand. Finally, it's False with all the pressure on him, and Cuff feels a little bit more freed after that shot lands. Over time, the burden of Saints, they must stay touching this cart, attached to it at the hip, knowing full well they've got plenty more maps to go after this should they win even just this fight. But Wub's going to stop them from doing that. The arrows continue to rain in, continue to connect upon the domes of Saints. Kaffa falling, though, means Timeless aren't as clean in this as they thought they once were.
Oh, we're going to see that Dragon Strike come out again. I mean, this is not solidified in any direction. Kaffa out of the picture. It means they have to get a swap for their tank to be able to get back in. Timeless still finding kills, but Saints pushing forward nonetheless.
And Cup comes back on the Reinhardt to get back even quicker. The Implication Matrix not able to find anything for Saints. False falling, foretold the fate of Saints here on Shambali. Timeless, take it away and lead the series 2-1.
I don't know what Saints have in their system today, but man, some of these fights are going on way too long. Something that Timeless has to look at here to solidify this stuff. I mean, both directions we're seeing these insane abilities to just outlast a team when there really isn't any reason for, realistically. I mean, obviously we know that position there specifically, very good to hold out and just out sustain, but nonetheless, just proving once again how cohesive these teams are on both sides, Saints and Timeless. Because, I mean, there was even a moment there, Dora, where Saints were actually kind of at an advantage. Kaffa went down. I mean, that was a huge opportunity for Saints to move forward, and Timeless still managed to turn it back around.
I mean, it's that understanding that Timeless have of the broken down situations that I think has done them so well. I talked about them thriving in chaos. Well, that's exactly it. Because even after Kaffa went down, False stepped forward thinking, yes, I can move because the other tank is gone. But when two players are respawning on either side and the fight is so in flux and dynamic in terms of the resources that are available to you as a tank, if you're not fully aware of exactly which players are alive, which players are behind you, how far they are, how far away from spawn they've made it since they spawned, there's so many small little things in those fights when they break down like that to take into consideration. If False made one wrong consideration, gets picked off at the end there. And those are the kinds of things that you see Timeless doing right a lot of the time in those broken down situations, just because they have such an innate understanding and such a strong instinct for the situation.
Yeah, and now, I mean, my curiosity is piqued because, you know, looking at the last series, we saw Saints in this similar position where we're going into a map number 4. We know that's push. We have an expectation that, hey, we expect that it's probably going to be Esperanza. I mean, that's kind of where we would intend for Saints to go if we were a part of the picture. Obviously, they have already come out and said that they feel like they're a lot better off on New Queen Street, but a lot of that is baked in the reality that they feel strongly about their Junker Queen. Now, up against a team like Timeless, we know that Timeless is not going to shy away from just playing Ramatra and then forcing into that Ramatra mirror. We know Saints doesn't feel good about that. So now I have no idea where we're going. Basically, what I'm getting at is I have no idea where we're going here, Dor.
Well, I think in the last series, push was a great map pick for Saints, right? We talked about how good Esperanza potentially could have been. New Queen Street for them felt comfortable, and it still was a question mark despite Lukewarm's ability to move around the map. It still felt like it was Saints' map for the taking. Going up against Timeless, it feels very, very different, right? You're going up against a team that can play the Winston. Should you want to go to Esperanza, you're playing up against a team that can play the JQ if you want to match that. Cuff is phenomenal at it. You've got a team that can play the Ramatra. Like, all your push maps are covered very well by Timeless's hero pool, and I'm not sure it's as impactful a pick as something like a Rialto, a Blizzard World, something where they can force a kind of that diva composition where they were showing Timeless the door.
Yeah, I think Saints have certainly relied on certain maps as of late against teams like Timeless. I would look at, you know, some of these maps as not really being as favored as what they would be, you know, against other teams. I mean, you even look at maps like Ilios where Saints is like, that's kind of their hometown. Well, Timeless also, I would say, would be a pretty formidable team on that map as well, even going against a Saints team that have looked pretty unbeatable on that map for the most part with Mikey coming in. But either way, this is a tough question, and one that actually Saints is actually struggling to try to figure out, I think, on top of that, because this entire time that we've been talking, they've been mulling over the options themselves. Typically, we see a lot of teams come in and it's like, right away, they've got the map pick. This time around, not necessarily the case. They kind of took us down to the timer before finally we see them actually go over to Esperanza. So,
okay.
Looks like we are going to be getting what we expected the last series here in this one instead. And I think a lot of our conversation regarding just being forced into a Ramatra mirror on their last series is something that they probably want to stay away from here in this one, more so even than the last.
Yeah, and you know, we could talk strats and stuff all day long, but let's be real with ourselves. Sometimes it's just bad juju. You lost on the map last series, you're going to pick a different one this time. And I think if it's up in the air between Esperanza and New Queen Street, and you're like, what do we want to play? Well, we lost on New Queen Street last time. Let's just get somewhere fresh. And I think that's a good call as well. They haven't been able to play the Winston versus Winston, something that I think Mikey is itching to get his hands on. Mikey Cuffa should be a treat to watch for you guys, not to mention us. And it should mean at least a new opportunity to throw a new matchup in the ring for Saints.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, I mean, we're going to get diving into this map, and something that people will notice, I think, if you're watching as opposed to just listening right now, which obviously you should be, well, we haven't actually shown any substitutions being made. And the reason for that is because there are no substitutions. Mikey is not coming in for this map pick.
Really?
False is staying in.
I'm not even going to conject upon the game plan that they've got cooking here. Maybe they just want to play that diva dive. Maybe they want to try to lean into what got them wins, but I mean, it's not something you really ever see on Esperanza. Maybe they're trying to play Ram here. People have done it a little bit in the past, and just some success, but we've seen what teams will do when you play the Winston into the Ram here, and you could just patrol those high grounds endlessly. It's not pretty.
We can't believe it either. We simply
this one's a
can't.
treat.
Yeah. I mean, like we said when we opened this series as well, I mean, a lot of people coming trying to get that Genji skin. Yeah, I mean, there's no question. If you started at the beginning of this match, which is halfway through the broadcast, you're probably still getting the Genji skin. But Yeah, I mean, no surprises in terms of the compositions. This is exactly what we were talking about. Saints, I guess a surprise if we talked about it from the lens of 5 minutes ago, but now that we knew that
in the lens of 30 seconds ago, yeah.
But nonetheless, Saints going to be really buying into that Ramatra setup. I mean, this is really, when we talked to False in the interview coming into this matchup, Saints said that they made some adjustments. They feel a lot more confident. Well, no time like the present to show off what those adjustments are going to look like here against a Timeless team that is well prepared for this map. They are coming in with what I would consider to be more of the meta selection for this one here with the Winston.
Saints opting for full safety as well. I mean, this entire comp, if the match shouldn't scream it already, right? Point all the guns at Kuffa, this comp certainly should do exactly that. Kuffa is walking on eggshells at the moment, and it's really, really tough, to be completely honest. As a Winston player in a lot of these situations, there's a fine line between feeding and backpacking your team, but Kuffa has ridden it quite often, to be completely honest. Somebody who's got some of the most experience on Winston. We talked about Jkaru, we talked about Mikey, but Kuffa certainly up there. It's taking a lot of time, knowing full well that Nano Boost is a strong trump card. Up against the Moira, though, it feels like less of one because the Coalescence would be up in about the same amount of time.
I'm curious to see Saints. I mean, they still have to be able to outlast this, and Timeless to surround them. Squid goes down. That Coalescence you talked about, not part of the system anymore.
You see that little pause from Doomed to take a second to breathe and select the target? Out of a sleeping player, out of the Moira, out of the Ramatra, everyone was fully there. Took a second, breathed, found that Moira health point. That was really clean Tracer play.
That's something that we see actually a lot recently from Doomed. I mean, he's really come out and been incredibly impressive. Finding that target, getting the pulse bomb, solidifying that last kill there as well. Time was stepping forward, and now this is where things get dangerous for Saints, and rotations are going to be everything. Getting into positions where you can actually take fights is everything. Timeless have great reset points here.
Kuffa's getting stuck playing Ring Around the Rosie, though, in the Mega Room. Unfortunate, as he'd prefer to be playing Overwatch. Primal Rage popped. Let's throw himself into a small room, but Doomed cornered as well by his movement. I don't think it's going nearly as well for Timeless as they'd hoped it would. Well, they have built up 95% of an EMP, so even if Saints push this back, the next fight isn't much better for them.
Yeah, I mean, EMP is still going to be tough to deal with. I mean, Saints still do have some good defensive ult to pull out here that should help them sustain, but Timeless, we know how good they are in finding those targets early, and they've done it again.
What a sound barrier from Greed as well. Keeps Cal alive for the requisite amount of time. Everyone else still controls high ground. The fact that Saints dropped low to dive after Cal at all there kind of spelled their undoing largely in this, as it allowed so much space on the high ground for Kuffa to start playing around. And now, as we trade kills back and forth, it's Timeless who are probably a little bit happier with the situation, given how close their spawns are.
Yeah, they could get back into this fight. Doom going for a pulse bomb, lands
big.
it onto False again here. And without the tank here for Saints, they just really can't drive this thing forward. Timeless are going to be sending it back to Saints' side. On top of that, I mean, a big reset in economy for them, so Saints should be in a good position to hold this out. But again, this high ground could be a massive disengage opportunity for Timeless. If they just reset to high ground, I mean, they could get away from King. They could get away from an aggressive sound barrier from Juby.
Yeah, breaking it once was impressive. Breaking it twice would be monumental for Saints, especially into what Timeless are working up towards. That Nano Boost almost available yet again. They're going to try and sound barrier their way into this to get them up onto that high ground, and it works out. Cal's down. No Nano Boost available. Doom's trying to trade one back, but it's just not going to happen. Now, 25% to the EMP, 96% to the Nano Boost. Timeless will have tools for the next fight.
Just about trying to get back into position as fast as possible. I mean, 4 minutes already off the clock here. Saints building much themselves, but again, that high ground is something that we're going to always go back to here. That's why you see a lot of teams opting for that Winston pick, and they're going to go in for a contest, and a boost certainly to follow here as well. I mean, come on.
EMP got everybody and their mothers while they were at it. Timeless has made an efficient fight of this as well. An attempted trade back by a Death Blossom from King, I don't think does exactly what they need it to. Now it's just ultimates invested down the drain for Saints, and Timeless still have more.
I mean, Doomed was the final blow king going into that fight, and then somehow Kuffa, I mean, just completely came in like a wrecking ball. And I mean, not to play into that, but that's exactly what he did. And now has Primal Rage at the ready, and they still have the lead. Saints have to get some value out of this Coalescence, which I don't think is enough to be lethal. I mean, at best, it might buy them enough time to get the Annihilation, and Saints need to get to that high ground yet again here, but they don't have the sound barrier to help them out this time.
Yeah, they had a big tool in the last one. This time now they must cross the dangerous waters that Timeless offer up. Primal Rage could, in fact, knock them off that high ground anyways and just kind of undo all the hard work they did. Nice turnaround, though, by Kuffa. Kind of recognizes that Cal is dropped low and that Cal needs Peel from the Primal Rage. Not necessarily to save himself, but more so save the Ana. Tracer, on the other hand, not doing so well for herself as Saints have left with the cart. And I don't think they get a winning lead here, but it's certainly approaching that yellow bar quite quickly. With Cal down, Timeless, they have to give it up.
Yeah, cannot contest at all. And now with the timing as well, with Kuffa down, I mean, no one's really left to contest here long term. So this should actually wind up being a cap for Saints, and indeed that is looking like it's going to be the case. Still a contest coming in from Timeless, and they're going to fully go for it. They're fully investing.
I'm here for it. They've got an EMP after this. Kuffa should come back by the end of the sound barrier. They just run down Greed, but it's a worthwhile trade for Squid every single day of the week. And as long as Wub stays alive with that EMP, they have the opportunity to hold on to momentum heading into the next portion of this fight. And with a hack onto False, it looks all the more likely. Nemesis form out, sound barrier forced out from Saints, and Timeless disengaged quite well until they lost Kuffa. It was going to plan for a moment.
Oh, False. Forced to Annihilation there. I mean, it's a thing that's going to pay off for them quite well, but doesn't bode well for them in the next fight. At least, though, they get this cap. That's going to be the more important factor here, especially if they can get just a little bit of distance covered after this cap time is over, and there it goes. So great position now for Saints to be in. Unfortunate that they had to pull out the Annihilation. Now it's Timeless's turn. They're making that swap. They have actually Kuffa swapped over, and it's now opportunity for that EMP. Wub looking for that opening.
EMP there. Death Blossom to counter it looks pretty good. There was a lot of ticky-tickies going on in my ears, but not a lot of killing going on in the kill feed, unfortunately. Timeless have swung and absolutely connected with the chin of Saints.
Uh-oh. Tree is in the mix, though, and Squid helped him get one kill. Unfortunately for Saints, they just couldn't stay alive for a few more seconds, and Timeless are sending this thing the other direction. 2.5 minutes on the clock here, though, but the damage from those last couple of fights, Saints have done a fantastic job of making their mark. And Timeless have to be careful here. They have Annihilation coming up here pretty soon, but it's all about making sure that you can hold these high grounds. Even with these compositions, the state of the game is the same.
Very tricky situation for both teams. King, DP's out. Squid waiting for the Coalescence. Pops it when False gets to about half HP. Requested move forward by Saint. Timeless are taking the pressure quite well. Cal and Greed just barely get out, but because they drop low, Cuff is able to use a lot of his health bar to make space and pick off Squid. Tank down. Saints have more advantage, though, to continue to push this cart further and further towards that Timeless spawn. It's just a matter of time, though. The ultimate's all up. This fight will end in what feels like an instant. A sound barrier from Saints, and they storm forward. Death Blossom as well from Doomed, but it's all shields that he's catching. Fortunately, it's all the shields of False. Now there's no tank for Saints.
Timeless, they can get the job done here. Greed is all over the kill feed as Timeless can finally move forward. And look, we are back in almost a neutral state, but Timeless have the EMP, and that has been their most consistent ult. The thing that has won them fights has been Wub's EMPs, and they've got another one in a critical juncture of the map.
Oh, an EMP to catch them in rotation as well! They didn't even let Saints set up for that fight!
That is going to be so important for this one here. We're seeing these deaths come in. 45 seconds on the clock. We will see Timeless probably be able to get into a position where they can contest before Timeless takes the lead. So it comes down to this next fight where Timeless have nothing. I think if Timeless is smart, they're going to pull back and actually try to play to disengage. Force Saints to try to get up into their space, get some players up onto the high ground, and that's exactly what Timeless is doing. This is so smart from them.
The wherewithal to do this in the critical moments of a grand final. Takes some real gall from these players, but Timeless are nothing but gall if we've seen anything. Pushing halfway towards the victory mark. Saints beckon them into their quarters, telling Timeless, take the fight into B. Timeless forced to oblige by a clock that is not their friend, and move forward into a Death Blossom. Ping does a lot of damage to Greed, more to Kuffa, and Timeless will take an L as we head off of Esperanza.
Saints do the damage in those couple of pushes where we saw them push onto Timeless's side. I mean, Timeless felt like they were in control for a majority of that match. I mean, they certainly won more fights, at least in terms of our stat lines. That's what it looks like. But either way, the damage when it needed to be dealt, it was. Timeless fall there, and we've got a 2-2 series. I mean, like we said, this is probably going to be a longer one. That's exactly what we're getting right now.
We came to trade blows, and that is absolutely being done for these two teams. Timeless put up a good last push there. It looked hopeful for quite a while. The EMP was perfect, but like you said, they just ran out of gas at the end of the map, as does often happen. For Saints, I think it's a big win. Winning on Esperanza, picking up a win on push in general after a rough new Queen Street pick went confidently down the drain in the last series should bode a lot of momentum towards them.
We'll have to see how that works out because, I mean, momentum really hasn't been much of a factor map to map so far today. I mean, we've seen teams just go back and forth, and a lot of things happen with map pick, obviously. Certainly not determining the winner, but does really shift things around. But with 4 maps down here, Dor, I'm excited to say we're going into a map 5 where we are nowhere close to determining a winner, and I can't wait to see what we're going to get on the other side of this break. Are your Dragon Blades missing the mark?
Do you want to go from a bad Genji to a pro Genji?
Looking for that next big thing to rank up and improve your gameplay?
Well, look no further than our brand new Overwatch Contenders Genji skin! With our exclusive custom-made hoodie, your Genji gameplay will automatically be taken up a notch.
And you'll look more stylish as you team wipe fight after fight.
Just look at that stitching!
To acquire your sick Genji threads,
So you can destroy in ranked and dominate all your enemies.
dude, chill.
Sorry man, I'm just getting into it.
All you have to do is connect your Battle.net account to Twitch.
After that, watching Overwatch Contenders will contribute to your drops progress.
Letting you claim each magnificent offering, including the keen blade of Overwatch Contenders Genji.
Love watching Contenders players, but hate it when they come in to crash your tournaments and take your prize pools. Boy, do I have a proposition for you. Check out Operation Dive Party. The signups are now open. A tournament in which no Contenders and or Overwatch League players may be on any of these teams. Thus, you guys get your moment to shine.
And we are back 2-2, the score line door. We said this was going to be a hater. It's feeling like even more than that at this stage, where these two teams going back and forth, trading blows like we talked about before the break. And we're going to go into a map number 5 where we're about to get into, dangerous territory for either team, because now we start going back to the map pool. Now we start having opportunities for either team to start pulling in their map choices. And just like we've had in our last series, inevitability of Lijiang Tower, well, we get that back here, but this time around, it's Timeless actually picking this one. And Saints, they concluded their last set on this map. See if they can maybe get a lead here on it.
Oh, I think this plays pretty well for Timeless. Remember, Kuffa's the one with the weird hero pool, right? The Winston, Ramatra, and the Junker Queen, all of which, outside of maybe the Junker Queen, could likely come into the fold on Lijiang, whereas if you want the Winston, well, you want to play Mikey. If you want the Ramatra, well, you want to play False. And so now Saints are left with a question. They're going to leave in False, though, who picked them up a pretty important win the last map.
Yeah, I think going with False makes a lot of sense. If you do wind up going in and kind of catching one of those, like, okay, we have to play Ramatra here moments, which is pretty much bound to happen, False is definitely going to be the one that you want in the mix for that. So even if they do have to play something like Dive, they can play the Diva look. So there's a lot of opportunities here for False to be the one to get the most value on this one. But nonetheless, going into a map 5 here, Dora, I have to say, obviously both teams impressing. Timeless coming into this, though, as, in the bracket, the team that I would say most teams wouldn't have expected to see them here, and yet here they are.
This is a very accurate picture. Thank you very much, Mr. T. This is perfect. This is exactly what we need. If you guys have more relevant images of political figures that represent our Contenders teams that happen to be playing at the moment, be sure to tweet them to hashtag OWPTP2023.
Curious to see if we're going to get Doomed back on the far, though, because remember back in this, I think it was in the bracket, it was either in the bracket or the group stage, we saw a lot of Doomed actually pulling this out, and it was crazy impactful. And in fact, we are going to get it. Greed, Doomed, taking to the skies, and Saints, yeah, they know this is coming now, so they're making some adjustments, and they're going to have to.
Wait, counter adjustments? Counter adjustments?
Oh no, not this again.
All right. Well, where did that bring you? Right,
this musical chairs worked out for Timeless, I think.
Oh, it's so good for them. Yeah, they're so happy with this. They got the final laugh and the pick on a Jibby. Oh my God, icing on the cake. This is perfect. Wow, Timeless. Go for a little bit of a convoluted look, but a great call.
Wait a second.
To scout that out over top. Kuffa's dead though. Wait a minute. Wait. This was not supposed to go this way. Timeless got the first pick. Guys. Saints turn this one back around, an overextension by Kuffa and Greed. Leads into a fight win for Saints in a first tick as well.
Yeah, just the denial of the leap from Kuffa. Kuffa trying to get back over to his team, and False kind of just stepped in front just enough to push him off of his track on the leap. Now Timeless going to have to work their way back in.
Happy to oblige. All about pacing Tree towards an EMP by a not insignificant margin. Tree, someone who you don't often see on Sombra. When it makes an appearance, it usually does well enough for itself. Love's had a lot of hours on it, though, this season. Matching him is going to be extremely difficult. King, though, is making that job a little bit easier. Picks onto the likes of Cow, unanswered by Kuffa, who zaps away endlessly at the likes of Juby until he finally falls to the second counter gank of Doomed and Greed.
Still in the meantime, Saints trying to buy into this fight even more, but these hacks are just getting so much value, and False not able to really dive in on any targets. Kuffa, though, once again punished.
Fortunately for Timeless, they did own the point for a majority of that fight. They did get a lot of percentage out of it. Now EMP versus EMP, though. This one's going to be fun.
Timeless usually so good, so consistent with these EMPs. You can see Wub working his way to try to figure out where does he want to go with this. Timeless already trying to go in for a half engage.
Saints beat them to it. Instead, counter EMP. And oh boy, it's everybody. Saints should not be winning this fight by any margin. Timeless follow up beautifully. And get the cleanup kills that they absolutely need to finish that one off.
Beautifully done yet again by Timeless. I mean, I don't think there's a team right now in the region, certainly, that does things as cleanly with their EMPs as Timeless at this stage. I mean, every single EMP seems to win a fight. Every single one. And now Timeless with the lead. Saints stepping up. I mean, they already talked about they love this Junker Queen composition, so they're pulling it out here, trying to see if maybe that could be the difference maker.
Spacing, the Ana gets out, Tree goes down, traded for Kuffa, who goes down before Primal. For shame. Winston player's undoing. Stun barrier from Timeless is kind of just hoping to get them back into the fight, and it does buy time for a pulse bomb from Doomed. Now, False on the Junker Queen is maybe a bit more vulnerable than he'd like to be. Timeless are pretty okay with this though. As long as they're trading ultimates, they can take up more and more and more point percentage. In fact, maybe it's more than that here. So we're inching towards a winnable fight for Timeless.
Yeah, I think Timeless at this stage, they'd be smart to just disengage. I mean, that could have been winnable for a time there, but as we saw Kuffa dive out, Timeless had a great opportunity to reset, and they're going to take that opportunity and basically force this into a position where, I mean, it might just come down to EMP versus EMP. I mean, that is a beautiful position for Timeless to be in, I think, as long as they can get Kuffa out. But man, that is just proving to be a lot more difficult in this round here.
It's a big as long as, you know. Wub, though, working up towards at least an EMP, if not a kill on a False. Tries to double down. This is so greedy. This is so greedy. This is so greedy. Timeless, Timeless, Timeless. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, they're going for the whole kit and caboodle. This had better work. Oh my god. Even the ultimate, the Carnage thrown in by False, the Rampage put onto the backline of Timeless. Things are getting messy though, and we know what happens when they get messy. Timeless start finding their way through. Saints now with an unclear position in the fight. They don't know what to do. Timeless ever present on both the point in the game and in columns with one another, find their way through a messy fight and find themselves with a strong position on point.
Oh, you can see Timeless just trying to ward off Saints. King trying to get into position. They do have the ult, but they might not even need it. Saints have done the damage. Timeless are without a tank.
And it all goes back to the EMP. I mean, they've been so clinical from Timeless, but you could tell Wub really wanted that kill on False, and it just wasn't happening.
1-0.
So once again, Lijiang Tower seems to be a pretty good place for Saints to play from, at least to start things off. I mean, Timeless, we still saw, again, that same kind of scenario play out, where EMPs that come out just always seem to have a massive effect in favor of Timeless. Just not that last one. Timeless couldn't get the job done.
Quick pause, but we'll start to stare down the next map. Control Center will be the pick of the random number generator heading in, and honestly, I'm not sure what either team was hoping for here. In terms of roles, Night Market was and is always neutral territory. But as we go back over to Rush, something that Timeless have been theoretically in charge of over the story of the match, over the course of the match, it's proven to be much more 50-50.
I'm reading the chat right now. It's fun little back and forth between Tree, Kang, and Squid, trying to figure out, do we need the pause? Never mind. Never mind, never mind. Never mind the never mind, never mind. That's literally what I'm reading in the chat right now. But as we do have this pause, a great opportunity for us to kind of dissect what's going on and what's to come. And I think one of the main things that's on my mind, at least, is when we get into Control Center, I think we certainly look to the Ramatras probably being mirrored here on both sides. And I think back to that conversation we had with False, where he was talking about how he expected that was going to be what we're going to see a lot more of in this matchup, and something that they've been trying to put a lot of effort into to try to see if they can catch up to Timeless. and I'm really looking forward to seeing if the fruits of their labor are gonna pan out.
2, 1.
All the fruits so far have been an incredible match. Riders, the GOAT agrees. Got a Riders for every last bit of capture he's ever done for Contenders. Has put in so much work that, well, you guys do see, but don't always recognize. So appreciate Riders more. By the way, roll out here for Saints. They're keeping this Bastion a secret. They will not let Timeless know their plan. Timeless wandering around aimlessly, question marks above their head. Soon to turn into exclamation points as they realize exactly what they're facing down. Tree on the Bastion lays all of the lead into Kuffa and Doomed, but they've taken the pressure quite well. They back up into an immortality field. Saints do the same, taking space, and now with the wheels having been used, Saints don't really have much in the gas tank to win this fight cleanly. A second round of wheels are up, but they lack the space to properly use them.
And just like that, Timeless, they went out in an important neutral fight, because now Saints, as they're going to be trying to weaponize this Bastion, I imagine they're going to swap here.
Yeah, almost definitely. Pushing in with Bastions, far more difficult. Probably to the Sojourn to match. I'd expect it, yeah. No surprises.
So Timeless forced that swap off. That's good news for them, but on top of that, they also just have a great position to go for these walls, try to bisect the enemy team. Saints getting caught.
I mean, they got an ice block already. They got the wall. They got the Nemesis form. They got an immortality field. That's unironically 15 seconds off the clock for Saints. Like, they have to wait for those cooldowns while they push this. The wall pulls them back in. Doomed maybe trying to turn the fight too quickly, but if they can find picks off the back of this, then it's going to be more than worth it. Nicely done. Timeless turn what was, it looked like a defensive maneuver to turn tail and run away from Saints into a very quick fight.
Just like that, Timeless kind of commanding this thing again. Kuffa really holding things down, locking it out. And Timeless in a great spot now. Ant Matrix could certainly help them look for one of those opening picks. Something that Saints have been doing to every team that they play against, but a little bit less so right now here on this Control Center map, as Timeless are just falling back, again, waiting for that opportunity to pull out the Ant Matrix. There it goes.
Oh! There it is! Ant Matrix and Wub delivers. This was a fight that Saints really wanted. They've got all the ultimates up. Now it's just time that they don't want to give up. Percentage points. Timeless insist on it, though. They want this fight, and they want it to end now because it's such an awkward percentage. Saints must re-engage, and now they have an annihilation advantage because Kuffa spent his. Sustain will be in Saints' favor within the next 30 seconds or so. Question is, can Timeless find a way to end this early? Oh, that certainly spells well for ending it early. Wub connects a big overclock shot on the Squid. Not enough heals to keep False up despite the annihilation. This Ramatra will not live particularly long. The tendrils of the ultimate reach out towards Timeless in a desperate effort to find a win amidst a fight that it just wasn't meant to be in. Timeless will find a second submap and take us on to a third.
I mean, it has to go this way, right? I mean, we have to go to a round 3. It has to go back and forth. That has just been what this series has been. And I mean, going over to a Gardens map, I know that we talk about how Control Center was supposed to go Timeless's way. It definitely has. We saw Night Market was supposed to go 50-50. It definitely felt like we had some push and pull there. And now Gardens, I know the expectation should be that Saints have the upper hand, or should, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case here. I mean, Timeless coming into this map, I expect that Wub is going to be pulling out that Sombra. I expect that Timeless is going to be trying to leverage those EMPs, and it's just too much value gained through those systems that I think Timeless, they are not at any kind of disadvantage going into this, especially now that we see that it's a full-on mirror.
Oh, it's been close the entire way. To see it be close between these teams to begin with at all is a surprise. I mean, Saints gave them a shellacking in the regular season. Timeless recover, they bounce back. They've proven that they're more than just gatekeeping the top 4 right now, putting on such an incredible fight. But Saints will not ever go down quietly. They look to reclaim their throne still, and this map would give them a lot of the momentum they need to do it, to put them up at match point. Both Nemesis Swarms pop. A big hack from Wub actually puts the Ramatra on the back foot. Timeless again there. Crusade forward towards Saints, who rotate around the point. just trying to edge out some of those abilities. Greed dropped low and will be taken down eventually. First Coalescence was up for Saints though. Now Timeless responds with one of their own in turn. But they can't quite find the same impact that Saints were able to. Now it's the Annihilation that looks to put a cap on things, and it almost certainly will.
Yeah, I mean, that right there was just a race. Timeless trying to find that EMP before Saints found something of their own. They got the Annihilation before Wub was able to get the EMP online, which allows them to win this neutral fight, but it's not over just yet. Timeless, Saints, both teams ready to go with their EMPs. We know Timeless is very, very lethal once they have those, but not a lot of good angles here for Wub, and Wub gets taken out.
The EMP connects beautifully. 4v5 for Timeless, but they've still got a couple of tools. Nothing to disengage, though. They know they have an EMP, and honestly, an EMP wins the fight, yes, but if a fight only wins you 10, 15 seconds, that EMP is not finding the same value that you may want it to. Now it's Wub's turn to fire back. Do they? Do they? They got King. Oh, Timeless gets to keep the EMP. Oh, boy.
That's going to be huge here as well, because you know Saints are going to want to get back into this fight really quickly. And just like we saw in Esperanza, we saw how if Saints are not really paying attention to that EMP or unable to react, which happens a lot to a lot of teams, Timeless and Wub especially is going to be able to catch them in their rotation in that aggressive move to try to get into position. See if Wub is able to figure out exactly where he needs to be here, as Saints have him pushed back to their back line. This is a lot better of a position for Saints. They can at least get into the fight here.
Oh, lessons from the flank from Squid? Certainly a questionable look. King tries to throw up a Death Blossom of his own. This is going the opposite of well for Saints right now. Timeless, not only have they won this fight cleanly at that, having just lost Doomed, but they kept the EMP the whole time.
I mean, that's good news and bad news, I guess, because, I mean, they win the fight. Yes, that's good. They keep the ult, that's good. But, I mean, Tree is going to have one of his own here. I think the good news, even beyond that, or rather the better news for Timeless, is the fact that Saints aren't going to have a great place to play their EMP from, trying to push across the bridge. So, Wub is definitely more prone to getting value out of his ult here.
They spiked your tree! They spiked your tree! Doomed is the only one caught! And Doom can simply dodge the rest of it. The EMP counters onto False. Nothing's found either. Oh, suboptimal EMPs, but Saints does just a little bit more to follow up on it. Timeless now down one member, make it two with the passing of Greed. 90% on the point is all they'll see as Saints take a win.
Just like that, the point will flip back. Timeless coming up on their support ults. Saints are really close to theirs as well. If I'm Saints, I'm looking to disengage this next fight here. Just try to play close on this bridge, try to throw out as much pressure as possible, get my ults caught up to Timeless before Timeless just sends it all the way in at me. And this is a great way to extend that time. Just pull out the Coalescence. They even force Timeless to match it.
He's got that EMP. Locked and loaded. It immediately comes out. Sound Bear from Greed is dead on like clockwork. This Lucio delivers. It's still not enough to keep Cal alive. Timeless have to keep fighting though. 75% on the point, and they're quickly losing this fight.
On top of that, Wub just not able to get as much value in the ult charge as they kind of need at this point. And that's not a, any kind of dig at Wub. He's been incredible in terms of generating these, but you look at the timings, that's going to be the more important factor here. The fact that Timeless aren't going to be able to rely on the one thing that they usually can, which is the EMP, into what is the last fight of this map.
Touch successful, hack onto False. Into the backline for an Annihilation goes Kuffa. King does the same with a Death Blossom, shutting down Doomed immediately though in the process. Saints with another quick fight win and swiftly take the map out from under the legs of Timeless. They felt so solid about it for some time, winning fights clean, time and time again. But it's a series of 1, 2, 3 punches that put the lights out for Timeless on Lijiang.
Saints definitely setting up a fantastic position for themselves right now in this series. Now we go into, I believe it's another escort map. I mean, we don't often see ourselves going this deep into the best of sevens. I mean, oftentimes you see it's like 4-0, obviously like we saw in EMEA today, then you see the 4-1s, the 4-2s, but to see us, of course, in this stage here where, I mean, we seem just like we're on a track for 7 maps. I mean, it just feels like that's an inevitability here between these two teams. The fact that we just keep going back and forth, and you have to wonder, Dor, obviously, since Saints already had that best of 5 that went the absolute distance there as well, at what point does that tank empty? I mean, does it even empty? Are Saints going to be able to weather that storm throughout the entirety of the day and pull off what is a fantastic run on the final day here?
I mean, I've seen teams do some incredible things in Contenders. I've seen them run 20 maps in a day, and somehow they survived. I suppose those, 12-hour-long rank queue sessions kind of help a little bit for a lot of these players. But yeah, the juice has got to be running pretty low. But Saints are an organized team, and when you have a lack of energy, you can fall back on the systems that you've put in place a lot of the time. And for Saints, that's going really, really well for them. I think this is as well a very critical win as you now head into an escort map where, fortunately for Timeless, they get the pick, which takes Rialto off the table. I think that's something they really wanted to avoid in all this. And then should you go to Hybrid or whatever to end, then at least Blizzard World's off the table. So I think it's actually shaking down pretty well for Timeless in terms of map pool that's left standing for us. But that's not to say they still don't have a lot to work through, especially considering you're at match point.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things I think that we see right now in the series as well, Dor, is the fact that, oftentimes, like we talked about before, you see teams come in prepared, ready to go with a map selection. They expect to take this loss here, so they know what map they're going to next, or they have a preference that they're already ready to cook up. Do we want to go there? Yes, confirm, got it, go ahead. But in this matchup, we're seeing things take a lot longer. These decisions are a lot longer coming out, which is, I think, just, again, a testament to the fact that things are not going as we all expected, especially since the start. Nothing has gone the way that we expected since we began this tournament.
I mean, it started with first seed beating 8th seed, and that just diluted into everything else. There was something in the water for this bracket. Not just the matches going a particular way in terms of who wins it, but the way they were winning it, the manner in which maps were being taken, picked, and taken away from teams which you're not supposed to pick them against time and time again. It's been a complete mess, but I mean, 2 teams have stood tall, and it's still chaos in the finals, but one of them has got to reign superior over the other in terms of their ability to just survive at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it has been an absolute roller coaster. I mean, we've been hearing it from the start that any team could win. Now we're down to 2 teams, and it still feels like that's the case, that any team could win. And, I mean, now with Saints in the lead, this is pressure moment for Timeless, the team that came in today feeling confident. We heard it in their interview yesterday that, they feel good that they get to sit back and watch, just take everything in, just prepare for this final match. But Saints now in the lead. We move on to Havana, and this is a map, I mean, we saw just yesterday actually being played, and Timeless going to be making a swap here. Kuffa is out, clear, back in.
Makes sense. You want to be running a lot of the off tank. I don't know. I mean, I guess Shamboli's out, so your options are kind of few and far between. You're not a big fan of playing Diva over on Rialto. Havana's going to be tough, though. I mean, Wub into Tree is basically the matchup to keep your eyes on. Doomed and King can do their best to manage side lanes, and I mean, there's some counterplay to be had between the Sigmas, but by and large, you're looking at the snipers here, and if I'm putting my money on anybody today, I mean, Tree has been on a heater.
I think the one silver lining here for Timeless is the fact that they can just go ahead and feel very confident about this pick because of what occurred yesterday. They won here on yesterday. They won on here on yesterday, and really, I think a lot of that came down to the fact that, like we've mentioned before, Clear has been phenomenal throughout this tournament, as well as a lot of these off-tank players that have come in off the back of what was for a little time there, just, I mean, effectively a Winston meta, and now we're seeing these transitions where Ramatra comes out a ton. We're seeing Sigmas, Divas come out as well. So now Timeless, we'll see what they can accomplish here. They're going to start off with the Ramatra, but I expect that there is opportunity for things like D.Va or Sigma to enter the mix. That's why we see Clear here instead of Kuffa.
Yeah, I mean, the spawn hold and or to break the spawn hold. I actually don't even... I mean, Timeless, there's a chance they don't even go for the spawn hold. Just given Clear's proclivity to have not played the Ramatra, considering that Cuff has been on it the entire time. So we'll see what's opted for there. For now, Saints, though, are the ones offering up the spawn hold, so Timeless must answer in turn with a ram of their own.
I think the funny thing, too, is you look back to Shambali, Timeless, even there, they didn't play the spawn hold. So curious to see if they do it once they're on their own defense. But a smart play here for Timeless. They just immediately flip the map, but they leave Wub behind. So they're going to work from two angles where Wub actually is quite safe.
An arrow flies past the body of King. It would have only taken body shot to take down the Mei. Tree in the sights, Greed first to fall. Timeless completely surrounded. When you think about it, yes, there's an off angle here for Wub that's solid, but I don't think it's anything to match the complete surround that Saints have.
Yeah, Saints answered that play from Timeless. I mean, it was a clever play for them, right? They come out, they push that left side, they flip the map, they surround Saints. Fortunately for them, they just couldn't find those picks that they needed, and now you see Wub actually making an adjustment over to the Reaper. So now a little bit more pressure for False. You see False probably playing a lot more defensively here.
False lying back behind the cart, Wub hopping up over it, understanding that there isn't a sniper on the other side to punish positioning like that. You can relatively safely walk across some of these more open areas, more so than you would normally on Havana. It was a little weird, but Timeless are making it work. Maybe not yet, though. Coalescence first rolls up and giving Saints a massive advantage within the fight. In fact, the whole fight win. We're approaching 2 minutes being taken off the clock by Saints, and I'm not sure this Annihilation is going to make it any better, Yerks.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, Saints have built up as well to the EMP, so even if Timeless push out, if they're not collected and ready to actually accept the fight, and that makes it a little bit harder, they're still going to have to deal with that EMP. So Timeless need to be ready and prepared for this next fight, and they don't even have a sound barrier to answer with directly. On top of that, Cal goes down. This is just not working out at all for Timeless. I mean, they are just...
This is a dismal Havana. I mean, again, we talk about it. Timeless is not used to playing with Clear in this position, playing Ramatra. It was going to be a road bump pretty much no matter how you shook it for them within this map. They probably broke it relatively easily last time, thought they could do the same again. Saints are fully ready for it. There's that EMP you were talking about. It's easy follow-up at that point. Sound Barrier 4v5 is aggressive from Timeless. They've got at least a little bit of reprieve from it. Taking down Juby, giving them a chance, but that Coalescence still sustained yet for Saints, and there is not a clear way to break this easily. False's health bar finally goes down. 1:30 on the clock, though. Saints are so happy with the situation they've garnered for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that works out so well for them. I mean, to be able to get 75% of the time bank basically out. Timeless. I mean, they came to this map themselves. This is their selection. This is definitely not the way that they want to go out of the tournament in the grand final after putting up such a big fight. Then to just get spawn held for 3 minutes like that. They need to be able to find a way forward yet again here to be able to get these subsequent fights back to back. That's necessary for Timeless in this position here now.
Saints going for drop strats. It works quite well. Death Blossom from Wub. Oh, it does just enough to counter the Coalescence as well from Cal, dutifully keeping up the remaining members of Timeless. Annihilation feels a bit desperate here from Saints. Still in his face is Wub pumping out damage. That's a resource that I think Saints definitely would have wanted for the coming fight, as now they've got an EMP. It's unclear how or when they want to use it because they're lacking a Ramatra. Do they go for this?
I think they're going to try. I mean, I think they're going to try to dive in. They have the EMP. They're going to look for an opening. How do they do it?
You get Wub. Doomed answers with an EMP of his own, but it doesn't find nearly as much. Sound Barrier finally comes in from Greed. The cavalry have arrived far too late. Timeless stepped forward towards the point, towards their fate, and now they stare down the barrel of a full hold that must be fullered in order to stay alive.
You have such a way with words. Such...
Thank you.
But either way, man. But either way, like I said, this is just not the way that this was supposed to end, right? Like this feels like we still have several maps to go, right? But that full hold, incredibly deflating.
And now you're kind of questioning, because I think the initial plan for Timeless was, yeah, play our map. Maybe we don't go for the full hold. Maybe we just want to play our Sigma. Let Clear play what he's comfortable on. But now you see the cart stop that early, and you're like, well, I guess we have to?
Yeah.
Like, this is... It's bad to worse. This is... I mean, I can't speak to it. Likely not their game plan coming into the map, though.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was something that they were assuming could even be a possibility, let alone planning on, obviously. No one plans on getting full held. But I think for Timeless, yeah, at this stage, with how much review they've, of course, done on yesterday's matchup, they won this map, but I mean, their push didn't end here. I'll tell you that much. It went much farther, but now you have to find a way to put a stop to Saints, put a stop to Tree, especially. It's going to be back on this Sombra, but it's all about this spawn hold. You have to drain time here. You have to drain time here.
Already an ice block's been forced out. Well, doesn't really do too much for Timeless. Saints move confidently forward, understanding this is really all they need to get the job done, and the job's halfway done. Cal down, False's health bar relatively low, doesn't manage to escape unscathed though. Trades either direction mean that Timeless's hold won't remain any further.
Yeah, Saints actually getting some of these final blows here. I mean, not the ideal situation that Timeless was looking for, but Saints in a position to take control fully now. Potentially minutes away from crowning themselves victors here, something that Saints obviously have been looking forward to, looking to try to go for that opening pick, but just nothing just yet. I mean, they're still pushing for free though.
Not over yet. Timeless take another engagement. Coalescence is going to be up first for Squids, second for Callan by a significant margin. There's no real answer to the early ultimate here from Saints. Timeless, if they can live, can get a Blizzard out though, and they throw it deep, as do Saints. Coalescence, though, is better for Timeless. They should keep them up through a lot of this. Sound Barrier, though, the trump card as it ever is. Greeds comes in just a little late, and Clear goes down for it. Timeless, what are you going to do to win this map? There's nothing left. Saints storming forward, victory in their sights. They've been wanting to recrown themselves for some time, sit back upon that throne. It's just inches away.
220, Timeless, have to get back to the point, have to go for a contest, have to survive the EMP and do so without the sound barrier. Feels like just a matter of time. Annihilation at the ready from both sides, though.
EMP lands on everybody! No annihilation for Clear! Absolutely not, says Saints! Popping every ultimate they have! The white box of victory clearly within sights. They claim that which has seemed theirs for some time now, despite the 2 weeks, despite the transmutation of virtually every single thing that we saw in North American Contenders. One team stood tall through the entire spring series. And at the top, when all the dust settles, Saints remains.
They get their redemption, they get the revenge that they were looking for as well. I mean, talking to False, what feels like just moments ago, but at this point it's been several hours. I mean, the big thing was that they felt like they beat themselves yesterday in the winners finals. The only thing that made them lose was themselves and the mistakes that they feel like they had made. And they went ahead, got some review, they figured things out, and it really showed here today. They turned this thing back around. Timeless looked phenomenal, but unfortunately for Timeless, the road to getting a victory in the grand final is going to have to extend a little bit further down the road.
Yeah, I mean, Timeless has been there, top four virtually every single time. They've watched from afar upon the coronation of many a team, but today they stand by for another, unfortunately. It's a strong showing, though, Timeless. This was the best I think they've ever looked amongst the grand scheme of Contenders teams. This bracket was a true test for them, and I think they showed us what they've gotten. I'm excited to see what they bring the next season.
Yeah, I mean, Timeless has always been the team that should be a top contender. Now they are a top contender, but Saints, they're back in form. They are back in form big time. This is the team that we saw in Pro-Am, just dominant left and right, just continuing to find ways to just slaughter teams. And then coming into this group stage, we saw them slip. It felt like Wisp maybe was the better team. Then all of a sudden, the bracket came out. We saw Saints come in, and they were, I mean, they continued to improve. A lot of teams fell a little bit short. Saints, absolutely not the case.
Absolutely not. There's been one player leading the charge for them for, I mean, a lot of today. We said his name a ton in the previous match and plenty of times in this one. After this break, we're coming back with an interview. Welcome back, everybody. As promised, we've got an interview with one of our victors. We've got Tree in, not just victor of the match, but champion of Spring Series. Tree, normally I start with a congratulations. We started this getting in the series. But to be honest, I just want to know what it was like in that final map. You get the full hold on Havana. What's the energy like for your team? Did you know it was coming in that moment?
I mean, we're pretty confident going into that last attack, but, you know, it's good to never get cocky in situations like that. You never know what can happen, but like the energy was all there. We were on the same page, so I think we all knew in the back of our heads that it was a done deal.
Yeah, and I want to bring up, actually, we heard from False prior to jumping into this series that you guys obviously had a pretty devastating loss yesterday. Felt that, you know, it was mostly just down to the mistakes that you guys made as a team that actually caused the loss rather than anything anyone else was doing. You guys made a bunch of adjustments. I'd love to hear from you now. I mean, is there any chance we're going to hear what some of those adjustments are? Like, what kind of changes did you guys have to make to be able to beat out Timeless this time around?
I think yesterday when we lost to them, we were like, I think some of us were nervous. I don't know why, but we were making a lot of like small individual mistakes that like really mattered in the big or grand scheme of things. And also, I think what we realized more about the strength of the Moira composition, because we weren't too good at the Bap Hanzo mirror. But once we learned how to play the Moira and I was like figuring out the Sombra, it felt really good from there, and we just kind of took that and went with it.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to see you guys through a lot of the end of that series, but I do have to ask, what was it like coming off the back of previous series? Because, I mean, or no, these both went really, really long for both of you guys, but it was very different, because there was rush in both of them, and yeah, False was like about having to play a lot of it in the previous series and expecting to play more of it in this one, but it felt like the dynamic of both of them was vastly different. Did it feel that way to you guys as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think versus 03 Splash, we were pretty. I think honestly we got a little lazy and sloppy in going into the Shambali of last series because we were winning so dominantly, and we'd also been playing like different comps before that, like the Sigma, which is a lot slower paced. And so going into that Lijiang at the end, we like really stressed on the fact that we need to like up our tempo and like be more decisive with our plays.
Yeah, and I think looking, you know, at what we saw here transpire, you know, 03 Blast, I have to question, you know, going into this, you guys obviously were one of the top dogs coming into the tournament. I know a lot of teams were still kind of expecting Wisp to get this far. Were you kind of taken aback, surprised that Timeless was even in this position in the grand final, or was it kind of still, even to the bitter end, just anyone's game to go to the grand final, and you guys just seemed to ride that wave alongside Timeless?
Yeah, to be honest, I am a little surprised it was Timeless that ended up in the grand final. I had a feeling that somehow it wouldn't be Wisp. I just knew that for whatever reason they weren't going to be the ones we play. But to be honest, I thought it was going to be O3 Splash. They were like definitely the hardest team we played, to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely surprising that they're the one that we ended up versus.
I think there's no arguing that both the teams you played today were particularly skilled because both those matches went the distance. Did the energy ever get low for you guys, or did the long ranked hours pay off in moments like this?
I think maybe in the first series after we lost that second map, we lost energy a bit, but then Mikey talked it back into us from the bench where he belongs, and and from there, I think the energy was there 100% for the rest of the maps.
You better watch your mouth, man. Someone's gonna pick Ilios against you guys, and it's done and dusted. If
Our Ilios is clean. They can pick it.
But either way, obviously, this is such a big win for you guys today. I kind of want to know though, because typically when we have these big tournaments, there's a pretty sizable break between this moment and when we'll see you guys next. But with Summer Series, I mean, basically right around the corner. What does the future look like for you guys, or do you even know at this point? It's just time to celebrate. We'll focus on that later.
I think for now, just focus on celebrating. Who knows? Anything could happen.
How are we celebrating? So
Good
what's
question.
the game plan?
I don't know. There's pizza upstairs for me. I don't know what else.
Yeah. Win Contenders and just grab a slice.
Pretty
I feel
much.
like you guys deserve a little bit more than that. I'm gonna have to talk to Saints about that, man.
Yeah, we can make something happen.
Well, I mean, it was a big win today. I think one last thing, I think one of the big things that we saw from Timeless was just the efficacy that we saw from them on the EMPs. How was dealing with that? I mean, how did you guys adapt to that? That was something that we saw them time and time again get a bunch of value from, and then
not just adapt
slowly
to it,
but surely...
The tree Sombra? Like,
that's what I'm saying, but by the time we got towards the end, it seemed like that had slowly started to kind of flip a little bit, where Timeless wasn't getting as much value, and funny enough, you on Sombra, something that we don't see all that often, we saw that getting a little bit more, and Saints, your team as a collective was getting a little bit more value in that Sombra matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Sombra grab. Can you say? I got EMPs like 2x faster. That's all it is. I'm just playing, but yeah.
You showed plenty of flexibility. Hopefully we get a little bit more of the Treembra in the future. But until then, man, enjoy your pizza. Hopefully find another way to celebrate. And congratulations again.
Thank you guys. Take care.
And what a spring series it was, Hirix. Oh my god. Not just one of the most contentious brackets that we've had in the history of Contenders, but the fact that Saints still found themselves on top of it, the way the fight through. I mean, what was just a complete clown fiesta of matches. It is really genuinely impressive.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see all the bodies left strewn about the battlefield at this point, right? I mean, Redbird's out in round 1, Pip out then, Wisp didn't even make it as far as we anticipated because they got taken out by the 8th seed in an 8-team bracket. I mean, what a roller coaster this has truly been. Like we said, so many times before, that this was going to be anyone's. Timeless came through and got into the grand finals, but at the end of all, Saints, it shouldn't be very much of a surprise to see a team like that come out and claim victory, be able to host that trophy, and be able to prepare now for potentially a opportunity in Summer Series. I mean, it's right around the corner. But before we think about all that kind of stuff, let's go ahead and take a look back at what occured in Europe, because Dor, this was a much different story than what we just had.
Twisted Minds had a marginally easier time of things, taking their finals 4-0 in every match prior to that, letting up just one map. It's pretty decisive. EU's got a lot of striation in it right now, and you're waiting for just those teams on the outer edges to pick up that little bit of cleanliness, because that feels like what it is, just hoisting up Twisted Minds. They feel like a really complete team, and you're waiting for someone to really come in and put all just the right pieces together to really give them a run for their money. But EU and NA both have had some incredible entertainment, because what EU lacked in really top competitiveness for Twisted Minds to really go up against, they did not lack in compositional diversity. I talked about a clown fiesta of a bracket. Well, every map was a clown fiesta in EU a large percentage of the time, and it made for some really fun Overwatch. But I've got some other fun Overwatch for you guys to watch, because the East and West Clash is still going on. Mid-season madness Don't miss it, June 15th through 16th. If you enjoy Contenders, you probably already know about the Overwatch League, but in case you're not subscribed, go ahead and head over there at overwatchleague.com. Make sure you don't miss out on anything. But from Hurix and I, it's been a long spring series. We had the break there. Felt like we got disconnected for a bit. We come back. Finals are incredible. The matches are just as exciting. It's been a lot of fun, Hurix. And Summer Series is just around the corner.
Yeah, Summer Series around the corner. Unfortunately, we're trying to, just in case anybody, missed out on the Genji skin, we're just trying to.
Yeah, we're just padding. We're just padding. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're padding a little bit here, trying to do.
I
as
see
much
you
as
in
we
chat with
possibly
2
can.
minutes to go.
Yeah, of course, a lot of things left to look forward to. We've got Dive Party around the corner. We got Summer Series. We got Mid-Season Madness. Still so much to be excited about for Overwatch. Contenders and beyond, every aspect of the esports scene, as well as the competitive scene at large with Dive Party. Then, of course, we've got Radiant Calling All Heroes 2, I believe. That's also coming up as well. But I think we've pretty much run out of things to talk about at this stage. At this point, if you don't have the Genji, I'm sorry. You should have tuned in earlier.
Yeah, it's on you. We'll play the trailer for you one more time just to let you know what you're missing out on, though, you guys. It's been a lot of fun in spring series. See you for summer. Contenders. It's the heart and soul of our sport.
Will all our heroes start on their path to greatness?
What is Contenders about, you might ask?
It's about these little shining moments
where these players strive to become who they're truly meant to be.
They get better, better, and better.
Twisted Minds, currently ahead of everybody.
Whisper showing why they're #1.
That is a huge shift of momentum.
Oh my god, Squid! What on earth? How did Saints even manage to bring that one back?
Genuinely one of the best Pharahs in the entire world.
It all stems from this moment right here.
No way, Quandup!
I love this when the fight is dire, when they must make a play.
Nothing short of magnificent.
LH Cloudy, 2-man self-destruct. I never thought I'd see that in my life.
Oh my god, this meta's great. There's so much diversity.
They're not going down without fights. A big throw! The Lucio hits the ground! Another sound barrier finally lands from Kellex. The Blizzard out. It's bought 3 kills from Twisted Minds. XOR desperately contesting. Just wrestle control of the map. Nobody's feeling safe.
The best storylines that we have in Contenders are these teams that come in and they surprise as things go on.
For us, weeks and weeks of play have led to this moment.
But for these players,
It's more than that.
It's everything they are and everything they want to be.
The Overwatch Contenders Spring Series playoffs continue right now.